Yep. Yeah, come on and get the center seat.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Man, you're way overdressed for this, but
Hey,
I can understand you're just coming from work.
Yep.
I'm a little overdressed.
All right. I figured today's topic, man, it would be good. We can talk about etiquette. Water etiquette.
Water etiquette.
That's right. I dress for that.
Or dressing for success on the water.
That's right.
Go.
That's right. Oh.
Can I wave and say hi?
Yeah, come on. Get your face on the camera here.
Just looking between the two.
Hi. Okay.
Well, I forgot to roll that one around, but we're on anyway. We're recording anyway.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I like this podcast, Kev.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's come a long way. My favorite episode was when you took all your cameras.
Yeah.
And then you broke it all down and.
Well, people
That
were
was
asking for that, and I was like, "This is a good." Instead of making a video for it, I'll just do the podcast with it, and I just sat there and kind of went over everything. And yeah, hopefully I went over everything right.
I thought you did fantastic.
Well, thank you. So yeah, we already kind of introduced you right at the beginning.
Okay, nice. Thanks.
But yeah, how do you say your last name?
Zavisa.
There's not a W in there, man.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Zavisa, like
Zavisa,
Visa.
yeah.
Zavisa.
Okay, Zavisa.
That's right.
Why is the W messing me up?
It's Polish, so I don't need to say anything else.
Right.
All right, Steven Zavisa from Ocean Eagle Kayak Adventures.
That's right.
OceanEagleKayak.com.
That's right.
Is the website.
Yep.
You do guiding out of Virginia Beach,
Out of Virginia Beach, yes.
mainly out of Rudy.
You know, primarily out of Owls Creek. And we just found that the reason why we do this, it gives people a protective inlet to get familiar with their kayak, the gear, and so forth, versus when we started 9 years ago, we would do surf launches. And it was so easy to get the
Sounds
folks
like fun.
from the surf zone out into the water. We'd be right on the action. It worked out real well for us as guides because you're not hauling as much gear and so forth. Well, coming back in, it could be flat as glass. People come in, they get a little bit of heat, a little bit of inertia, they flip it over. Next thing you know, you got a mom and a 9-year-old daughter who 10 minutes earlier were smiling, high-fiving,
And they're
to crying to the car. The last thing they
And that's the
remember
last thing.
is, I just got hit in the back of the head by a Malibu 2. Right. It's not a good thing. So we take them through the protective inlet, just a little bit safer.
Well, yeah, it's a great spot because you're still get out of Rudy
That's
and get
right.
out in the ocean.
And that's that's a high traffic zone for people want to see dolphins.
That's right.
They love to see dolphins, and I mean, the number of days of the week you see dolphins has got to be so much more greater than the days you don't.
That's right.
Especially at the times you go out, you've got good timing, especially your
we've
trips in the
seen
morning.
you. So we've seen you
Yeah.
on Rudy going out, and so we see you going out there when we're fishing out towards the mouth of. We see.
I've been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been. I
That's
took my
right.
cousins.
That's right. That's
My
right.
cousins
Lee
came
brought
from
us-
Michigan
that's
a few months, years ago, and it was so much easier to call him and have his, go with his people and his crew than for me to get all my kayaks together and lug everything down, make sure everybody has a life jacket that fits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Paddles that are gonna, it's take all of my stuff down there. Or I mean, his service is just so much, easy for that. Yeah.
Tell them what you saw last time we went kayaking with the group of the season.
Towards the end of the season, we had an opportunity to paddle with 3 adult humpback whales.
That's
And
And it was
awesome.
amazing. And the beautiful thing is we came out of the inlet and we assessed the situation. And this particular day was a little bit choppy. We had a little bit of wind. It was the end of the season, so our numbers were a little bit lower. We had this couple from Northern Virginia, so we're paddling out.
How late in the season is this?
This is like
September?
end of September.
Okay, so it's still short. It's still not cold.
Yeah. The water, the air temperature is getting colder. The water's still warm.
Yeah.
The water's right. The air temperature is a little cold.
Yeah.
So we paddled out of the inlet. We get past the quarter-mile marker, and we started paddling into the wind. So we're working our way down the coast, and all of a sudden I see some dolphin activity. I'm going, all right, let's position them. So I brought them in a little closer to the surf zone. The pods were hanging right along, and then all of a sudden I saw a bunch of porpoises. So generally we see the Atlantic bottles and the dolphins, the big gray ones.
Right.
Yeah,
the ones
they're mostly solid gray.
The solid
They've got
gray, they're
bigger
big.
I mean, they're big. They're
Right.
4 or
They're
5,
the
600
big
pounds.
boys, correct. But this particular time we saw a different species. We saw porpoises.
Now these are
They're black in color. They are about half the size of the bottlenose. And generally, when you see a lot of porpoises, that's where the bait activity is, or the bait. Well, about a mile marker out, I'm looking out, and the guests were just looking out, and I'm going, I thought maybe somebody was feeling seasick. Just the way they were looking, I'm going, hey, a lot of activity over here. And I was pointing over to the left. They just looked at the guy looked at me. He goes, I think I saw a whale. I said, I don't know, sir. It's like, let me just see. Because, I had one guy look over. He swore it was a loggerhead turtle. I look over, it was a floating bucket. So it's like, when you're out on the water, it's like, it's deceiving sometimes. It's like, until you really get up on the object, you're like, so.
And if you don't really see that stuff every day.
Right, if you're not there every day, exactly. So they were looking out, and then all of a sudden, I hear Courtney start yelling. Courtney and her girlfriend, Julie, were with us. They started screaming. They were like, oh my God, it's a whale. I'm going, I still haven't seen it. I'm going, all right, where is it? I'm like looking. Then all of a sudden I see this full-grown adult humpback come completely out of the water, breach out and come down. I was like, oh! Then by the quarter-mile buoys, right there out of Alice Creek, the water starts bubbling up. And I mean, out of nowhere, another one comes up. And when it came out this time, it pushed out, thousands of bait fish. Big bait fish flew everywhere. It was insane. And
so
then,
like Nat Geo pictures, Discovery Channel.
That was a Nat Geo moment.
Yeah.
I've seen
that's
going,
awesome.
What a fluke! What a fluke!
It's a fluke. I'm
This is a
freaking
fluke,
out, going like
what a
this.
Fluke.
And the people, I forgot about the people, the guests. So I'm out there, and Courtney's like, forget about it. This is I'm like, the couple that were with us, they weren't the best paddlers,
No,
but they hung in there, and I'm like, look, this is a one-time thing.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, this
Especially here.
This isn't an everyday occurrence. Then the young juvenile came up and swam within the surf zone, and I got real close to the young juvenile. So that was just an amazing experience,
To the surf zone.
right outside the surf zone, right off Croatan. So right there at Quarter. So anything is possible out along the Atlantic coastline. Anything.
Yeah,
so that's why I always let people know, it's like out here along the coast, it's game on. When you see activity, whether it be dolphins, stingrays, cobia,
stuff all the time.
What kills me the most is like you're with a group and then the bait comes up and then all of a sudden you see huge kings just breaking it up, and then they take off the coast or cobia, and there's not too much I can do. When,
Here, folks, watch this.
it's that. Yeah, that's
like, you guys want dinner tonight? Here we go.
right. But it's nice. We see all kinds of stuff out on the water. Every migratory duck in the book, pelicans. Last season we saw a lot of harbor seals. And a harbor seal, it's like when folks are out there, when folks are out there paddling, they'll come up. They look like a black lab, because they throw the balls and they come right up until you see the whiskers. Yeah. And then I always tell folks, you got to back paddle, because Courtney one day and her girlfriend had a guest. They got right up on it, and Courtney's like videotaping this harbor seal. Next thing you know, it's on the Facebook. So,
But they can be dangerous. They have the.
They will if they get on your gear, you're going to be swimming.
Right.
Because they become very territorial. I watch them feed them at the aquarium, and they take Spanish mackerel, zip it right in half.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Not messing with those. I don't mess with dolphins either.
Yeah.
I've
heard about that. Night fishing, that's when you get nervous with the dolphins sometimes.
Why?
Because they just come up on you.
They just be right up on you.
Really?
Yeah. They don't. Dolphins come right up
And like
especially when you're sitting still.
When we're on Eastern Shore, they'll come up and check us. We've had them push us off the pod, and
Just come out and aggressive. Come out and like wake at you.
And then I've even had them paddling. Like I'm paddling, and they're like the group's over here, and I've had two come off. I'm here, and they just inch me like this. They just keep inching me towards the shoreline. Basically, they were pushing me to the shoreline. And I was like, all right, I'm out. Stop. Get away from me. Because I don't trust them. I don't trust dolphins.
They say dolphins have personalities.
And when you're going
to run across an asshole one day. That's right.
You're right. And along those lines, I saw about 3 years ago, I saw a Nat Geo moment. There's no way. Where there was a small pod of dolphins, and the males were coming up, and they had a female. They what they do is they'll group up in males. They'll strip a female from the pod, and then do their thing. That's generally what we see along the Atlantic coastline a lot.
Yeah.
So
the quick splashes on top.
This particular time, yellow belly. It's like, hey, yellow belly. So we're at a point where it was a smaller pod, and then a group of males came in. Well, out of nowhere, the big bull came out of nowhere. And when you see the big bull dolphin, it is intimidating. The hair on back of your neck will stand up because you see a regular size, and then you realize, we're in 12-foot kayaks. Well, this dolphin is a lot bigger than 12 foot, and has a lot of girth. So how they defend their territory is, at this particular time, they came up, they were trying to strip some of the females from the pod. So when they battle each other, they jump completely out of the water. And what they do is they use their powerful fluke tails. So you've seen them come up, if you get a little too close, they smack their tails, and that means back up. Don't mess around with that, because things could get hairy real quick.
Right.
Well, at this particular time, they were coming completely out of the water and then smacking each other with their fluke tails, and it made such a powerful noise, and they did it 3 times. And me and the guides, we were just like, whoo, and we were telling everyone back up, and let's back away from that, because the activity was intense.
Yeah, because people want it. They see that and go, dolphins, let's go check it out. I was like, no, this is crazy.
That's right. This is
This
where you keep your distance.
Wild animals are going nuts right here.
And
back off.
And it's important while you're out there too. You never want to stress the wildlife.
Yeah,
you're there for observation. Get a workout in, enjoy the time, get some good family photos.
We've seen the eagles in Rudy latch together and do the helicopter down, everything.
Yeah, Rudy's there. That whole area.
Rudy is hot
from there.
As you're coming with him, as you're coming out of the boat ramp, if you look into those dead trees, more days than not, you're going to see a bald eagle.
That's right.
Yep.
More days than not, the tour is going to start with a bald eagle sighting.
That's right.
And if it's not, it's going to be an osprey or something sitting in that tree.
Yeah,
they always sit in those dead trees.
They
There's
sure do.
always, some type of raptor in those trees.
That's right.
And on the way out, you're going to see
I've
a bird.
seen deer walking along that shoreline
Yeah.
where that point comes out.
Fox, a lot of
Foxes,
fox, raccoons. When you get back there, like at low tide, there's areas where you can only get there by a kayak. So when you get back there, anything could happen.
Yeah.
You see a lot of nutria. I don't know if you've seen a lot of those on the eastern shore, but like Back Bay, we see.
Yeah, there's like the weird
muskrat. They look like hamsters. They're different colors, real fluffy looking. We sell a lot of those.
Good bass bait.
Good bass bait. Yeah. Nice.
Speaking of the whales, on the way to the eastern shore to fish that day with you, my girlfriend got to see a whale. She'd never seen a whale before. We came out of the second island and we're going towards the third island. And I was just looking, I always look at the water. I mean, I should be paying more attention to the road, but I'm driving on the bridge and I just see a spout. So I was like, baby, look, up there, right around the curve, just watch. And as we're driving up towards it, we were still probably a mile away or a half mile away or something. It comes all the way, just like you said, just reaches and lays over, and she's like, "I can't believe we just saw that." Like, we're not even on the water yet.
Where were you?
Up on the CBBT.
Okay.
Going across.
Going across, yeah.
Stop my car.
I always look when
I never saw it anymore.
It's rare. I see dolphins, but I've never seen whales. And I always look real hard.
Well, this was winter. This was winter.
Yeah, winter time.
I'm looking for Kobe as I'm going across here at the same
Yeah.
time. And I've seen
Pods
Ben
and
hooked up
drum.
before.
Yeah.
I've seen Ben beat the horn out of him.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
I know.
Oh man, I saw Lewis hooked up. I seen him put a giant flounder in his net one day as I was getting ready to go into the tube.
Yeah.
I saw him
Yeah.
go in the water with the net and come up and it filled the bottom of the net. He knows how to catch those big flounder, and it was one of them.
Nice.
10-pounder or something.
Yeah, speaking of flounder. All right, so you're 33 and a half inch, 13 something.
It was just almost 13 pounds. It
Okay,
was like
so-
12 pounds, 14 ounces, some
so
change.
nearly 13 pound flounder. It's
Yeah.
probably the largest flounder caught at a kayak around here. I gotta think. I remember there was one that was pushing that, but I don't think it was 33. I think it was more like a 30 to 32 incher.
Okay.
It was at that TKA tournament. I remember the guy from New Jersey came there. I think someone caught one inside Lynn Haven.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that was one
That's
that
a
was
beast.
yeah, that was like the type of thing. It's like, man, this was huge, and it's inside, where everybody catches his 12 inchers.
Yeah.
That type of thing. But I guess yours is kind of like that too, because you weren't targeting giant ones. You weren't like live baiting at the island.
That's right.
You were just basically just doing your regular kind of fishing thing inside
right.
Rudy, and it kind of goes to show no matter where you're at, these a big trophy fish.
Trophy
can pop
fish,
out.
that's the beautiful thing
Yeah.
about saltwater.
Yeah.
Because every tide cycle could bring that trophy fish in.
I mean, he was following probably out
Rudy-
there, followed bait. And it
Rudy's
was
a
like,
good
man.
flounder spot anyway.
Yeah,
it
but
is.
to have one gigantic like that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's.
It was an awesome.
I mean, how did you land that thing? How did
You
that go
know,
down?
it was like Kevin was saying. It was one of those days I had
had
some time.
You just kick back.
I kicked back, and it was one of those drift days. It was, I don't pedal, man. It's like
feet up on the gunnels.
Oh yeah.
Feet up on the
One of
gunnels,
those
just
days
like kicking
yeah,
back.
it was really one of those days I like to really drift.
Yeah.
So I paddled into the wind and I just tossed it, and I had a couple secret holes. There used to be a shrimp boat right there in Rudy. It's gone now, so I can tell everyone where it was. Well,
Right.
what would happen is during the storms, it's a sand bottom, so it would always move back and forth. So it created a nice little hole. Flounder like to sit right outside the structure, so it was a perfect spot. So I would go in there a couple of times a week and get lunch, but no beast. So I get into this one little area and I toss out, and I was filling it, and I was like, there's an oyster bed there, so you get caught up a lot. So I was bouncing the bait off the bottom, and then all of a sudden I felt something just grab it, and I just relaxed. And your first instinct when you're flounder fishing is just to give it a quick jerk. I was using a red-headed jig head, probably a 1/4 ounce redhead jig head, and I went and got these big long, it's white, it was like a bass bait. It wasn't gulp or anything. This is like pre-gulp. Gulp was like a brand new product back then. So it was like it was a real long tail. So I would cut it, and then I'm always keen on scent. And it's before, like right now, Procure is super hot and active. That's the the go-to. Back then I would use like garlic spray or anything.
Right.
They used to have like mullet stick. It really didn't stay on the baits too well, but if you got an initial application, at least mentally, it's like it's that metal thing.
When I bass fished, I used bait sense, and you know what? The only thing I proved to it was. It doesn't scare them away.
It doesn't scare them away.
It doesn't scare them away. So you can use it if you feel better using it. Use it.
Right.
It does not scare them away.
So I was just letting the kayak blow, and I was holding, I had the one paddle hand free, and I was using it kind of as a rudder, and I'd wait until I felt the bait bouncing on the bottom. And that's the key, flounder fishing, red fishing, you want to feel that bottom.
Yep.
So it's on the bottom. That's where the bite is. So I'm bouncing off the bottom, and then I feel like something grabbed it. I gave it a few minutes, and then I just started reeling. The last thing you want to do is jerk it because you're going to pull it right out of his mouth. So I let him eat it real good, and I started reeling, and then it was just something grabbed. And at first I thought it was a snag.
Yeah.
And it was just, I started pulling, I'm going, a lot of times if you get an oyster, you pull it hard enough and else it pops free, and then, you reel it in. Well, this thing started fighting back.
But at first initial, because the only big flounder I caught, same thing, I thought it was a snag.
Right.
And then I started pulling up, I thought it was a clump of line.
Right.
Because it was just going like this.
Right. Or a skate. Because there's times I've been in the inlet and I hook up, and then boaters are standing up and going, man, that's a citation right there. And they pull it up and it's a skate. And you're like, flapping away, geez.
But this one, you like first snag, okay.
Yeah.
But then
it just held to the bottom. I mean, this thing held. Well, the nice thing was the kayak was being blown. So I was using the wind-blown kayak to kind of, work the fish. I didn't have to use, I was using, medium gear.
Right.
So I started pulling it in, it started going, and then I just kept the resistance on it. And then I just kept working it. Well, it took me about 10 minutes to finally get it to the top. I didn't know what the heck it was.
Yeah.
I get up and all of a sudden I look and I'm like, holy cow. And it's like, and it just went right to the bottom. As soon as I saw the kayak. So at this point, I'm like going, holy crap. And the one thing that saved me, the reason how I landed this one particular fish was, probably a year before I went to Wild River Outfitters, there was a kayak fishing symposium.
Mm-hmm.
It was like,
that was
like one of the first ones where they broke it down. It was big. There was, there was like 75 guys there, and I remember at one of the lectures, I can't remember who it was. They said you need to have a fish handler. So after that event, I went and bought just a Rapala fish handler. You pop it in, release it. That way you got something to grab hold of. So I finally get this thing to the top, and I'm scrambling for it. I know I have it in my crate. I've never used it before. The thing's brand new. So I bring it out, and the thing comes up. I finally get to the top again, and then the wind is blowing the kayak. So I have this fish. It's a beast as big as this table.
Right.
And so it's like right alongside me. I'm like, oh geez, how am I do? So I reach out, I get the fish handler, and I pop it into his mouth, and I release it. Clip. Well, this thing got pissed off and yanked the fish handler right out of my hand and dove straight to the bottom. And I'm just like, so you got a 13-pound flounder with the fish handler gripper hanging in his mouth.
You got one of those big ones. This is the early ones.
It's an early one. Yeah. This is like the claw. This is the nice ones now.
It's not the vice grip.
No. They have the sweep. Yeah, this is the claw.
Yeah.
So I get it to the top. So the thing is, so I finally work it back to the top. At this stage, I'm like scrambling. I'm going, all right, should I get a picture?
Your heart is about to like.
I'm like freaking out. I'm going, oh geez, don't fall
what
off.
test you go? What's the?
You know, I use Berkeley Power Pro braided line. It's about 20-pound test, so it gives you a nice diameter.
Oh yeah.
And then what I do is like
break that.
They're not going to break that.
Right.
So and then
you
use.
weren't like doing.
Well, then I use
15-pound.
No, then I use like 20-pound fluorocarbon.
Okay.
So I'm on it because saltwater fishing.
Yeah.
We
The only thing about
go 30
teeth.
on that.
Yeah.
Because of teeth. Just because of teeth.
Right.
Just
And
because
then
of teeth.
flounder don't have like slicing teeth.
They have points.
They do have
They have
20
points.
teeth. That's right.
They're not gonna cut your line.
Right.
It's just if he swallows the bait and flounder like
That's right.
shake their head a ton.
Any
you get a
resistance
lot of
on that line.
Chafing.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
Chafing on the line. Any
Yeah.
resistance
So
is
20 and 20, you're feeling
Yeah.
safe.
I'm feeling safe.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
confident. You know.
Just as long as the boga grip doesn't flip over
That's
its
right.
head.
Or whatever. Or-
There's
I didn't
so
know how I had-
much that could go wrong.
I didn't know how it was hooked, you know, because a lot of times with flounder, you barely have them hooked inside their tongue, and it's like one little treble hook in their tongue, and you're like, geez, I don't know how I got this even in the kayak. So I get it to the side, and I have a chance to grab for it. So I reach out that second time, and I just grab it by the handle, and I just like leg lifted it. Stuck my leg right in the water, flop it right in, and then just stuck my feet on it. This thing was going bananas. Boom, 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 boom.
I can't
Both
even
feet, I'm like this.
imagine.
At
I
this
mean, I got a
point,
25-incher, and it's like
at this point, I'm like screaming. It's like it was like the Confederate soldiers are coming over the hill screaming. I got the rebel yell going. The country boy in me came out. Let's just say that. So I go paddling. You know, back then it's like people really didn't like kayaking. They didn't really know what you were doing.
Oh yeah, this was
right.
back in the day. You would hear people. They didn't think you could hear them over their motors. Right. They'd be like, "Look at those crazy," anything. I mean, I can't exactly remember what we used to hear, but it was every boat that went by.
Well, they used to call
something
us
to say.
They used to call us mosquitoes. Right when the kayaking first really started coming out, and then the thing would be, is like etiquette. You would get some new guys out there. They would cross some old local guy, and they would they would call me up. They'd be like, Steven, hey, you got to tell your friend, and I'm like, we ran a group this morning. I don't know that guy. I'm sure he didn't mean anything by his disrespect or whatever. Just maybe his dad never taught him. And that's we chalk it up for that, but it's like. So I finally get this flounder into my boat, and I put my feet on it. Well, I paddle up to this old guy, and he's a good friend of mine now, off Foca, and he's just like, he wouldn't talk to anyone. And that's how, back then, that's how the guys were. It was before, like, pre-internet and so forth. People were, like, real tight-lipped.
Yeah, the way people get fishing reports now, and they still complain. They still complain.
They hate the places. Like, you guys are there, and you guys are real kind. You put the pictures up, and then anyone with any sense can go 1, 2, 3 points. That you know exactly where to go. They have your numbers.
Some stuff.
There's some
stuff I go behind.
And I love the videos. Right. Of course. But the key is putting the time in. So you could put out the hot spot and say, hey, this is a fantastic fishery right here. But if you don't hit it at the right tide cycle, or not hitting it in the season,
we've seen that. On Eastern Shore, we've seen stripers in front of guys, and they not see them and actually run into them before we get to them.
Yeah.
And we've seen that before.
And they'd be like, "What's up?" We'd be like, "Yeah, they were."
That was them.
That was it. That's right. That was it.
That's right.
So
you just ruined it for all of us.
That's right.
We could all had fun together, right?
That's right.
If you put the time in, you know what you're looking for
That's right.
and all that stuff. But
I mean, I saw him a mile away when when we saw him one day.
We started
I just looked up and I was like, "Oh, there's no clouds in the sky. That's them over there."
We started
There's a big black spot in the water. I was like, "There's no clouds in the sky."
They're right here. The other kayakers are right here. We're way over here.
That's right.
And we saw them like we're sprinting. Oh no! He goes.
Yep. That's right.
But yeah, putting your time in. But yeah,
Take
it
your
was
time.
like that back in the day. But yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
like
so
that now.
I paddle up
So
to
you
this
get-
guy, and it's like, so I got this huge flounder. Well, this guy, Alfoca, he looks at me, he goes, man, quit jacking around. That's a trophy. I've never seen a fish that big. You need to get that thing on land.
Yeah.
So I get back to the inlet, and I see this guy cleaning his boat, and I was like, man, no one's going to believe me. Because that's the key. You know, you got to, when you're out on the water, you can catch big fish, but if you don't document it properly,
Dude, the reference picture is amazing.
You get that hearsay thing.
Yeah.
But if you put a legitimate picture of the fish and the measurement and the scale,
Especially
there's no
then,
denying it.
Especially back then when that was still early on. What year was that? Was that?
I think like
6?
2007, 2006.
Yeah, I'm thinking around that time. So
Yeah.
it's still kind of early on for around here. 2004 is when it kind of started getting
Yeah.
bigger, and so that was still early on. Definitely, a big milestone. You had to get that in. You had to get
Right.
pictures of it. You had
That's
to,
right.
because that was
Yeah.
a true kayak trophy. Not
That's
only
right.
Kayak
The
trophy.
reference
Sure.
picture is amazing. He put this thing in front of the 50-gallon trash.
Yeah, the
barrel.
old barrel.
Yeah.
The
The
old
barrel
metal
right there
barrel.
at the bank at
That's right.
the ramp at Rudy. He held this thing in front of that, and it was as wide as the barrel. I mean, almost as tall. It was
That's right.
just
Yeah, that
Wow.
was a great fish. And and now it's when I catch flounder, and I still enjoy catching flounder because there's times during the season that's the go-to.
oh yeah.
'Cause that's going to be the best eating fish. It's going to they're very challenging, and I find with flounder too, it's when you get on one, if you're like fishing and you catch one small one and another small one, you got to move because man, it's just you're going to be
If you start
saturated. But
big
if you get
ones-
one big one, man, you hold your spot,
Right.
and then because there's another one swimming around there.
Oh, they lay right on the big. It seems like the big flounder will lay right on top of each other almost.
Yep.
I mean, that's
I think
exactly the
they're
thing.
jockeying for positions.
Yeah.
The big ones that named that one leaves. Oh, okay.
I mean,
right.
and I think what it is you're get in a better spot. Now, whether you mean we don't use electronics. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen you use
No, I
electronics.
don't.
so-
I don't use electronics. I just use
the
feel.
only, the only thing I do with the
fish
bottom
during
is feel it.
That's
So
right.
I can miss a little bump or a hump or something. I can't see it. You know what I mean? But if you happen to drift across that
Feel it.
and go behind it,
That's
pay
right.
attention to where you are,
Yep.
That's
come
right.
back around. I mean, especially if you hook a big flounder, you want to
That's
go
right.
Well,
exactly.
that's how we learned
The
to
one
spot
time
without
I
fish
did
finders.
have, I did have a GPS for like 3 weeks until I ruined it. One time, and I went to the ODU reef a few times then,
Okay.
and my fish catching drifts were always the same drift.
Mm-hmm.
And you would venture up and move to a different drift and try a few times, catch nothing, come back to where you were drifting before, and you'd start catching fish again. And you go, in closer to the beach on the wreck.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
move, and nothing.
Yeah.
You kept that line, you could keep catching fish. I mean, just
That's
because
right.
a couple of drifts went bad,
Yeah.
somebody's trying to get back into that spot.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And sometimes too, it's like when you're
I've hooked the
fishing
bottom,
that
it
drift.
was alive
It's
out there
like
before,
you
too,
could
and
you
it
could go
was.
this direction and not get anything, but then when you pull it back this way just slightly, so that's when you get the bite.
Yep.
And because they're tracking it, they'll
Yeah.
track it for quite a while before they get on
I
it.
mean, we've had flounder take baits at the boat.
Yeah.
And we've seen flounder come through schools of bait on top.
Yeah. We've actually
You know,
followed little baby Menhaden.
Baby Menhaden all
Follow,
across the
like,
flat one day.
and you see him up here, and the flounder just keep going. Woof.
That's right.
You just see the flounder come through. And these were inside in 3 feet of water.
Yeah.
And they were keeper flounder, almost all of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
I saw more keeper flounder this last year than I've had in years.
That's
And it's
good
just like-
because
it's really
flounder
good.
fishing wasn't that great except for the ocean. And Rudy is right on the ocean.
That's right.
The bay fishing for flounder was not good. The ocean fishing for flounder last year
great. I went
It
out
was
several
good. A
times.
lot of people
I caught my limit like 4 or 5 times.
That
which is
area
rare.
around the pier, they caught a
Yeah.
bunch off
Yeah.
of the Virginia Beach Pier last year, and that area right around there,
Yep.
that was good.
Yep. But Rudy, because of the ocean influence, I mean, it's a straight ocean influence.
Oh,
so
there's
that's-
yeah,
no
it's
bay
why.
water in
Yeah,
Rudy.
that's
Right.
why it's a
It's ocean
different
water,
thing.
and then you really just have to know how to fish the tides.
Yeah.
In Rudy, that's
Yeah.
the key.
Know where to go and where to
Know where to go, where the holes are, what time of
In
year.
the summertime, just stay away from the boats. Just get out of the way.
Summertime is stay away from the boats. That's right. That's right.
Right.
And it's just as long as everyone out there just respects the rule of tonnage, then everything's fine. You just have to remember, as as
Your
kayakers,
pirate boat will kill you.
we,
Just pay attention.
we are at the bottom of the totem pole.
Definitely.
So we just
That guy
gotta.
he wasn't with you, was he?
Oh no!
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
I thought it was
no.
with you.
I mean, that wasn't the kayaker's fault.
It was.
They
Who
rented
knows?
the kayak to
Yeah.
the
Right,
place.
right. That's
That's
A
the
Navy
thing.
SEAL
Just,
saved them. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
Was it?
A Navy SEAL who was visiting a neighbor across the street saw it, jumped in the water, swam up under the boat, pulled the guy out.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna have that problem again.
Yeah.
I think that was a one-time thing.
Yeah.
I think we'll be paying attention from now on.
If anybody doesn't know, and Rudy was last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last year,
summer.
one of these pirate tour boats ran over a tandem kayak.
a tandem
Yeah.
kayak. There
Yeah.
was some
And-
tourists.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
never kayaked before. Luckily, they put PFDs on them.
Yeah.
Because majority of the time they don't even put PFDs.
Yeah,
on
and
them.
And one
these
was
people-
trapped underneath, I think.
Yep.
Is that what
That's the
happened?
one the Navy
Yeah.
SEal just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
nothing. If he wasn't there, he would have died.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because he was under for a while, and he was like, I think, unconscious for a long time. Too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important. They just rule of tonnage. Stay out of the.
And
boat's way.
also, I mean, if you go with service, there's people there with you too. If you just rent a kayak from
Right.
somebody and try and take it,
Sure.
you
Yeah. You never.
if you don't
never
know
wanna,
what you're getting
that's
yourself
right.
into,
You're
the
right.
wind blows.
That's right.
These places
Right.
have current. It's not
That's
like
right.
going to the lake.
Yes.
Right.
This is not
That's
going
right.
to the lake. I mean,
Right.
if something happens, I mean, the
ocean
current and
conditions
Rudy will
change.
just take you
Sure.
out of the inlet. If you don't know what you're doing, you're not coming back in.
That's right.
Sometimes when the swell's just coming in, it's hard to
Yeah.
get fish like around that wall.
Yeah, yeah. Around the rocks,
That's
sometimes it's
swell,
yeah.
man.
Sometimes it's like
Yeah,
so
I mean,
choppy.
people
it's
get near
not-
there thinking they're safe, and you're not safe.
That's
You
right.
know, like I said, your service keeps people. You keep people safe. You know.
That can mean you don't have it, like anybody want to go out and catch cobia out there.
You
or
know,
take-
it's like this, Kev. It's like for us, we find that people are more interested in paddling with dolphins. The more tourism, you know, for us, we can take out up to 18 people.
Oh, yeah.
So it gets it for
Right.
for
Yeah.
as a business aspect.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like we always have 3 guides. You know, we have a lead guide, a sweep guide, and then a roamer, just to make sure everyone's up to speed and so forth. You know, with the fishing, it's more one-on-one.
Yeah.
So you always have the guy calling you Saturday morning. Well, Saturday morning I'm booked out with the dolphin tours.
Right.
It's like 7:30 and 10:30 booked out.
Yep.
You know, last thing I
Yeah.
want to do is start fishing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's
Yeah.
like unless the tide's right and the bite is on,
Right.
then you know
And-
I will
and-
make an exception if,
Yeah.
if I have
And
inside
then, I mean, it's
information.
Saturday too.
It's Saturday,
It's
it's a
everywhere.
long
I
day.
think you maybe even maybe try like when on your off days, because on the days I'm just brainstorming.
yeah, sure.
I'm just brainstorming on your days that you're doing the dolphin tours out there. You're
Yeah.
seeing the cobia and you're seeing what's you
Right.
you've got to be just like a guide fisherman would, because
That's
you're
right.
just out there. Even though
That's
you're
right.
not fishing, you
That's
got to
right.
be on what's going
I
on.
do have to be.
So we
what's
can
going
tie
on.
off to the buoy and sleep the night before.
You know, let's just say in years past, me personally, I've never caught a cobia. You know, I sight casted to a cobia one time by the rocks. Man, he wouldn't bite on anything. I didn't have eel or anything. I just
Right.
had a
Yeah.
bucktail.
Yeah.
You know, toss it.
Yeah.
No results.
I lied
But
on the internet
I've
last
seen,
year.
I've seen some good boys. I've seen some good old boys though. They go out to mile marker 1.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and man, they hang up on mile marker 1 right on
Yeah.
that buoy because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
really no structure.
Oh, we went. I've never seen.
So I
I've
saw
never
a
seen
guy
a big
come
one
back.
there, but I have seen like 15 little ones there one day.
Wow.
They were little ones.
Yeah.
Like the one Mike
Right.
caught in Lynn Haven,
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
But there was like. I don't know, it looked like 15, 20 of, I mean, there was just a wad of them. They were
Yep.
all just swimming around each other and
Yep.
playing around. And
Well, you caught a cobia before, a smaller one?
Yeah,
Did you
I
ever
caught
get-
him. I caught one in Florida on my tour. Sight casting to him. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought it was sight casting to a shark.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
that's right.
Threw a spoon at it and hooked it and jumped
That's
straight
right,
up. I was
that's
like,
right.
whoa!
Yep.
Yo. And then I caught one. Me and Rick were on Latimer Shoals chumming, and Rick caught a big one. I think
That's
it was
right,
a
yeah, I saw
40,
the
50
picture of
pounder
that
or something
one,
like
yeah.
that.
yeah, is it 49 inches or something like that?
Right,
was
right.
a
It's
sweet
like-
fish.
But he had a small 30-incher, 34-incher next to it. So while he's fighting that one, the other one comes up and I throw an eel at that one and catch that one and get pulled away
Nice.
with that one. So that's. I haven't caught a big one. Yeah.
I told somebody that I hadn't caught one in years out of the kayak, and that's a lie. I caught a baby one last year around the Sandbridge buoy. A tiny one.
That's all right.
I even forgot about it.
Species. Species
forgot about it.
It's all
I
good.
just forgot about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, it was one of those things where like I tossed the eel down there and I felt the eel shake, and I was like, something's
Eel?
shaking the eel. So I just let it like feed it for a second. I mean, I didn't hurt him. I hooked him right in the mouth, but
Right.
I felt something shake the eel. So I was like, huh.
Well, yeah, if you can get, you could, real quick, like when you see them on the weekends, then you don't have anything Monday afternoon or something, say, got some cobia out here, I sighted them.
Kevin, I got your number, man. I will dial you in.
And then,
you
not
got
for
it.
me so much, but
Yeah.
put it up on your Facebook page. So I saw some stuff. You guys want to book a thing this afternoon? We got time. That's what I'm saying. Just, you can while you got the eyes on them.
Yeah.
And you could always just go, like a walk on.
Right.
Almost like a walk-on.
That is
Going out, gotta walk on.
it's tough though when you're targeting that invasive species,
Right.
Because it's like you
Oh,
really
it
have
is-
to fine tune it. Where
it is
you know,
fishing.
if somebody calls me, they
Oh,
want
yeah, and these
like
things
you,
are
like you-
always
when
moving.
you were a
They're
guy,
not
when you,
sitting
did, when
still.
you did a lot of
Yeah.
guide work, you know, people just want to catch some fish.
Yeah.
They just want some activity, and they just want to have a keeper.
Yeah.
They're like, is that a keeper?
Yeah.
They, you know, I'm like, no, that's not quite there. You know, but keep at it. You know, and you once they get the technique, and they
I'm
catch.
saying with my idea, you're targeting the guys that are like, you know, that are
Yeah,
wanting to hunt cobia. and
adva-
we're like,
that would be
yeah.
more of an advanced tour, and
Right,
it's like,
right,
yeah,
right.
that'd be definitely more like fine tune. You would have to plan that event, and it's like I find too. It's like whenever I do plan a big fishing excursion like that or a big
Yeah.
event,
Do I look at that?
I put all the energy and everything, and I find that's why people always ask me. It's like, why do I fish alone a lot? And the reason being is because it's like, you know, I have a JOB, you know, which when the opportunity is open for me to get on the water, a lot of times it might be like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And if, you know, the average person, I call them up, it's like, hey, the tide is right. I got the reports from my friends this afternoon. They're on it. They send me the pictures. I'm on it. I mean, it's dialed in. I'm on it. And my wife, Courtney, she's like, she goes, go. And I'm like, so I have opportunity to head out there. And it's, you know, you call a couple of guys and it's like, hey, what are you doing? Come on out.
Sleeping.
Oh man, I can't go. It's like Wednesday, 2 in the morning. Come on, Steven. So,
And-
but I do see a lot of guys out there.
That is the toughest thing
You
about.
know, you set your alarm for 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. and you don't tell me, and then I get scared. I hear something beeping. I'm like, oh my god, I think it's a fire alarm, and he's going fishing. And I just say, don't talk to me for days.
Well, fishing time is great.
Right.
So it works for me. So
Right.
it's like fishing time is great because you can have I always have a kayak on my truck, and
Yeah.
you know, it'd take me 10 seconds to pack up my dry bag, and I could live on Eastern
Oh,
Shore
yeah.
for a couple days. And that's the nice thing about the, you know, spring and summer.
But that was what it was tough about the guiding thing is fishing guiding is because you want to go for more species.
That's
and
right.
Yeah, and you know targeting one big species. I mean you're really just targeting the ghost
That's right.
kind of.
I mean, I've
way.
fished for cobia a lot of times and I haven't caught a big one yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of times.
But
A
it's
lot.
just like
I haven't caught a keeper yet.
I know, but you have the right gear, you have the right mentality. You're out there, you know where they live. You
Right.
know,
Oh,
you got the
yeah.
reports that they're there. So when you least expect it, you're gonna roll in, and there they're gonna be.
Oh, you
And
see,
you're gonna be
it was
on it.
ridiculous.
So just like when you see them when you don't have a rod.
That's right. When you see them, it's like they come up, and when you see them too, it's like. You see them, and a lot of times people get freaked out about it because they'll chop the water, man. They're like this, and there'll be like a whole bunch of you know, bait fish jumping everywhere, and you'll see them on the subsurface.
They look like sharks.
Yep, they
Yeah.
do. They do.
Fin, like little fins. And
Yeah.
they look like sharks.
They,
Swim right on top.
Yeah. And brown.
Fins, tail out of the
Yeah.
water, brown.
yeah, within the inlet too, it's, you know, besides cobia, you know, it's a great striper fishery in the summertime. You know, there's certain times of the summertime where you can catch trophy stripers right there in the inlet. Sheep's head.
Yeah.
You know, if you have someone, I had a gentleman that was on his species list, and he's like, "Hey, I want to catch a sheep's head." I'm like, "Let's go." Get a bucket. I showed him how to catch some filler crabs. I put them down there. I rigged it up for him. You know, he caught a bunch of small ones.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Catch
Oh, no,
your own,
And that's
catch
like,
your
there's your
own.
species.
Yeah.
He was so jazzed, and when I'm able to do that for
Those little
someone,
ones-
that's what they reward you.
The
because
little
they-
ones on the right size tackle, man.
That's
they're
right.
A lot of
They
fun.
are a lot of fun.
And to go catch your own bait is rewarding and everything
And
too.
the little ones will
That's
teach you how they bite. So
That's
when
right.
you go out there and catch those bigger
That's
ones,
right.
it's you get that you have an idea.
I mean,
because
I don't know,
it's
yeah,
so
that's right.
weird.
I've fed a sheep's head over a dozen baits before.
That's
and you
all
know what they feel like.
Well, if
I
you
know
catch
it.
your own bait, then it's not a big deal.
we go and scoop the mole crabs.
Scoop
out,
them up, yeah.
Yep, a lot of times we use mole crabs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're right there. You go right there at the
That's right.
the Croatan wall, and
Yeah.
or that little small Croatan beach, and there's always some right there.
Yeah.
Where easy to find. They're smaller ones, so they
That's
fit
right.
the bait that the size of the sheep's head that are there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've got a tog there too.
Oh yeah, he got
I caught
one.
one on a bobber.
Bobber.
On a bobber. Huh?
Spade fishing.
I put a piece of clam, see a baby spade fish were living around there.
They say these spade. I've still not seen a spade fish around those rocks. People will tell us about it when we go looking for them, and we end up just like sheep said or tog fishing because we
Yeah.
don't see any. We never see them.
Yeah, we've caught plenty of togs though.
Yeah.
And then
But that was funny.
like
Bobber.
good eating size black drum.
Yeah,
if you're
that's
gonna
right.
eat a black drum,
That's right.
a
22,
18
25s.
to 25 incher
Nice.
is the right size.
That is,
and
but-
right where your sheep's head fishing,
Sheep's
if you just back off a little bit, they're off the edge of that.
Gotcha.
Right off the edge, and especially when the tide is moving and early in the day, especially. I mean, we would normally catch them first thing in the morning, and some days we would catch a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Like to the point where we didn't even like get closer to the rocks. We were just like
Nice.
catching 25-inch black drum. So
That's
we
a good
would-
fight, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Black drum is fun.
Oh yeah, we were fishing with our super light sheepshead tackle too. So I mean, like trout rods basically.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But that was we haven't done that in a little while. But also even smaller ones, we caught really small ones like at the bridge,
Yeah.
like on the pilings. Like, but that's a lot of fun because it is fully sheepshead fishing. You feel exactly what they're doing because
That's
you really scale down to like almost spot, spot rod, spot hook type of size. And really small baits on there. You totally feel them. You feel how they gnaw on it before they pull. You know all the variations of how
They're not
they
trying to
bite.
swim away with it. Sheepshead is trying to eat the bait, eat the
Right
food
there.
right where it is.
Yeah.
They don't. They chew everything.
So many
right where
times
it's
you
at.
feel those teeth on the hook.
Yeah.
Feel that. That's what you feel a lot of times. You're like, yeah. Still good on time. I didn't know what time it was.
Nice.
How many minutes do you have left?
Oh, well, at 48. I can go an hour and a
1,000.
half.
An hour and a half?
Yeah.
Who's watching this?
Got 13 guys on now, and then put it on YouTube. It gets about 100 a week. You know, in
For
about
the
a
first
month.
couple of weeks, so 300.
Yeah, we
300
have about
in a month.
300 views right now on within a month. Yeah, I think that's about how many fans we got watching right now. It's about 300. So
Nice.
it seems about that.
We should
Yeah.
have a calling contest.
Yeah, that would be confusing.
That would be
Well, we do.
It's hard to do the contest, but we have a Facebook thread going all the time.
So
People send in questions. Actually, we just got a hit
Yeah,
right
so-
here.
Okay. And Lee checks those out. We can always answer questions on there.
Lake Whitehurst, man, I don't know anything whether they're going to open Lake Whitehurst. All I can tell you is this is the time of year. If you have a way to poach that place, get in there and go walleye fishing. Get in there and go walleye fishing and catch yourself a citation walleye before there's not a good place around here to catch them anymore.
I did see that. but-
Because there's absolute giant ones in there, and they're not stocking the place anymore. They don't reproduce in there. So
They don't?
No.
Huh.
No.
Because they're stocking their
It's
alien,
just,
I guess.
a colder weather species and
They don't spawn
yeah,
there.
and something about moving water. So that
shit.
the walleye don't spawn in Whitehurst. That's why they stock them every year. Anyway, the ones that are left in there are going to be big
Right.
and early spring
That's
and
right.
into when the bass are spawning.
That's right.
Those walleye are looking to eat everything baby that swims around. And then, you've got the shad moving around too. So normally we threw white spinnerbaits and white crankbaits this time of year, and you catch bass and walleye, but the walleye you catch in there, man, and especially now, because nobody's been fishing in there, it's got to be crazy. So if you can find a way to sneak in there, get in there.
Well, he's asking about the Dominion Power, and they're redoing the high tension wires. So they're making another terminal where they run all the wires to and the transformers and shit. So that's moving across the street. So they might be the whole idea is the rumors are that that's going to be the ramp where they used to have it going into the ground.
Okay.
So they moved everything and there's an open lot there. And apparently somebody keeps talking about they're going to make a ramp or something.
That would
I
be cool.
heard
That would be cool. The ramp closed. Something had to do with the airport, and the airport reclaimed the land, saying something. And I don't know exactly what the deal was, and I don't know that the deal wasn't somebody was getting out of their boat and going up on land around the airport. And then they just decided, you know what, we can cut the whole thing off because that's our area. Anyway.
Well, I've heard that
You
they are extending the airport, so that is still in the process
Right.
of happening, even though they've been talking about it for 100 years. But what I also heard about the Lake Whitehurst facility was that it was given to, I guess, the clubs or something, the bass clubs, to kind of run and maintain, and like they just couldn't get it organized or something like that. That's what I heard. I'm not sure if that's right or
Yeah,
not, but
I
that's
don't
what I
know.
heard about that, and that's why that kind of closed down because the city wasn't taking care of it. It was kind of given to the community.
That makes
and,
sense.
I love that place.
Yeah.
I love that place.
Yeah.
When I used to bass fish, I loved
that
it.
ramp is a really good. This is parking everywhere. I don't even know. It's a shame that that's why it closed down. But who knows about that? I've heard so much different things about Whitehurst. I'm not sure exactly what was happening with that. But we live right here. We see it all the time and drive by it all the time.
And
So.
these neighborhoods, they're all designed with lakes, and you have to remember, a lot of these neighborhoods, they were built in the 1970s.
Yeah.
So the contractors would go in, they would stock it out. I've caught citation alligator gar out of some of these places,
And some of these
walleye, bass,
we got burrow pits
crappies.
around here that are deep and.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
freshwater drum is in some of these lakes.
We got those around here?
I never caught one. I don't know.
If you go to, well, chances are it's probably like brackish water.
Right.
Because it's like, I know it's
Okay.
all interconnected into the back bay. So a lot of these lakes, especially in ocean lakes, you catch a lot of
I've
redfish.
caught spot fishing for bass in ocean lakes.
It is.
Is there direct ocean lakes? That's by
Dam Neck.
Oh, okay, there.
Dam Neck,
Okay, so
yep.
that is
Dam Neck
coming
is
from
like
up
come
the
from
way.
the bay too, and even at the ocean front, like Lake Holly, it's a great bass fishery. You can catch bluefish and a largemouth bass in the same water. So
Huh.
it's crazy.
Huh. Bluefish. That's coming up soon, isn't it?
Yeah, bluefish there are a lot of fun. A lot of people don't
Have
like.
you been getting on those big ones?
You know, I do. It's like I found last year more so than ever. It was years before we weren't catching any gray trout whatsoever. I mean, there was like 2 or 3 years where I didn't even catch one. Well, last year there was a bunch of 18 to 20-inch gray trout that hung in the deep waters in the inlet. So what was happening is you'd be fishing the bottom, and then you hook into a nice sized gray trout. Well, by the time you got it to the boat, man, I mean, it was, man, eaten to the skull.
Bluefish.
So you know the fish that's doing that kind of damage, it's not like a piranha, man, where it's just chomp chomp, man. This is one clean monster bite, 19-inch gray trout, boom, up to the eyeball.
Yeah.
Big blues.
So, they were sitting there, that the big blues were in last year when you saw like High Hopes and you saw Fin Seeker and you saw these big, charter boats out there fishing inside the inlet.
Yeah.
And that's just,
Well,
Before we get away from the inlet or anything, we had a good question about the sheep's head and how we fish for them. As far as like, we fish for the little sheep's head and the big sheep's head with the same rig.
Same style of rig.
And it's basically a tog rig. Yeah, the same size loop. He was asking about the loop.
Right.
The difference in my sheep's head rigs and my tog rigs is my sheep's head rigs probably have about a foot and a half to the sinker.
And the
When
top-
I originally start, now before I start breaking the sinkers off and shorten it on up, but I normally start with a lot longer area above because the sheep's head, I don't know how much the togs are hiding in the rocks or whatever, but it seems like when you go off a ledge or off a drop off, you're doing good, better tog spot. So I tend to keep my bait and my hook closer to the sinker so that when you come off of these edges, you're right there. Sheep's head fishing, from the videos and everything, they're not swimming around in these like tight crevices and
even what
they're
we've seen,
picking food off and swimming around in the
And even what we've seen around like the small ones around rocks, where you see one big rock and you see the big one around here, then the smaller ones are like around it. And they're not under the rocks.
Yeah,
like
they're
the
not.
they're
They
around.
only run under the rocks to hide.
Yeah,
they're all the time picking and feeding around the outside. So I leave more space there, between my bait and my sinker, so that if I do drop down in that hole, I'm not fishing just down in
Your
that
bait's still
hole.
out of that
My
hole.
bait's still up here. You know what I mean?
That's right.
The dogs are welcome to come get it.
Now even at Rudy, we depths of fishing. Rudy, we've caught them like on the jetties, like up in the shore. Basically in the water line. You got a rock here above the water, the next rock underneath there, and right where you just can't see them.
Yeah,
just
that's
right where the water visibility is gone. But that can be really dangerous because we know a guy, Mike, who got thrown up onto the rocks.
Right there, when you're coming through the inlet especially, you have to remember, it's like, if it's during like slack tide, it's a different element. And then as that tide starts coming in, you start getting boat traffic. Plus, we find along the Virginia Beach coastline that during the mornings, the winds aren't as bad. But 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, the winds start kicking up. So it went from
You get the nice
3
day,
mile
supposed
per
to be nice,
hour,
you get that
then
sea
you got
breeze
the
coming
sea
at.
breeze, and then you got 20 mile per hour gusts coming at you, and it's like the rock formation. And if you're concentrated in one direction, it's
That guy got tossed in front of everybody.
It'll show you. The water will always win.
Yeah.
So you just gotta always respect
that last
those rocks.
day,
That's
that
right.
last day of the ECSC tournament a few years
Oh,
ago,
yeah.
when that boater got
I remember
tossed
that,
in
that's
front
right.
of the whole crowd.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that was the same
That
guy,
was
man.
sad.
That's sad.
Hey.
But that same guy,
right.
we know exactly how he fished because
That's
we
right.
would catch.
And he's catching those stripers. I think he was trying to catch stripers.
He was sheep's head fishing.
Sheep's head
And we
fishing.
would catch a sheep's head, and he would like move right in and drop his anchor just because we would drift off and take we would.
Yeah, we were unanchored. We were
unanchored. We'd come in.
Yeah, drift. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Come away.
That's the way you
land
do
the
it. That's the way you
whatever.
can fish there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Dude, I don't want to be tied down.
And
No,
he'd
that's
come
right.
in
That's
and
right.
drop anchor right there where we were fishing. And
We were like, dude, we're not moving. We just got pulled away, and he's
That's
there.
right.
Yeah,
So-
man, I had the same thing at Lynn Haven at Little Creek one night. I'm fishing out there, and a guy, we're catching these puppy drum, and this boat, you could see him coming from a long way away. Then he comes in and drops his anchor, and he's like, "You were
That's
out
right.
there," and I was like, "Dude, you didn't
That's right.
drop out of the sky. You know why I'm out there because you've
That's
been
right.
watching me every time."
And that's why you always have to be like the old guy, where you got to keep your fish in the water a little bit longer. You have to drift out of certain areas because you're right. If you show that there's any activity in this one zone, next thing you know,
Some
you got
people are
three.
crazy,
You got 3 boaters, and they'll just submerge right on you, like this.
No, the big red. I had a big red on. I had it next to the boat, and the boat came by and just put the rock.
That's right. That's right. Or you get a big trout, and the trout's just like beating his head. It's like boom, 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 boom. And it's like you're like this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Or the worst is when you got something decent like a red, and then all of a sudden it just starts peeling line next to the guy.
Yeah,
you're like,
I was on Latimer one day, and I wasn't. This was my fantastic kayak cobia day because I caught 2. And I got them back to back. They were both babies.
Strong.
Yeah,
They were like this big, both of
That's
them.
all right. Hey, there's a lot of guys targeting that species. I mean,
Right.
a lot of guys.
So I'm
and-
out there chumming, and there's a boat 200 yards from me. There's about a few hundred yards behind me. I mean, there's boats all around, and then a boat comes cruising up by us, and this fish just takes off, and I'm like hooked up, and these people just start screaming, "Yeah!" like crazy.
Oh, shit.
And then this little tiny cobia just jumps straight up into the air.
Nice.
So
Man,
tiny.
yeah.
And they went, oh.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody was around,
And looking,
everybody
eyeballing
was
that.
everywhere.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah.
And they all
That's
saw
right.
that and went, oh.
The nice thing too is like you'll see a guy in a boat and he'll be hooked up strong. And I can't help it. I could be with a group and I'm going to slow the group down so I can see the color and I want to see what he has.
Right.
And it's like you always have that old guy, get away from here, get away from me. I'm like, look, sir, I'm good to go. I have control of my gear. You're good to go. I'm not gonna mess up your feet. I just want to see what you got. So I always watch them, pull them up. I'm like, all right.
There's one more
And then
here on that sticker.
Is there?
No, that sticker's old. It's like I had to go through the old box. I had
Oh, okay.
newer
So
ones.
it's white on top like that?
You know, it's like I found I used to
it's
do.
your
I used to
angle.
do a lot more.
Your angle.
Actually, I think this used to at one point be like reflective material,
Oh, yeah?
and it's just kind of like over the years. And I had latex ones like when we first started in 2006. I had a bunch of latex ones. Well, I gave it to this crew. Well, next thing I know, I'm at the oceanfront, and I mean, every sign, every corner has my sticker on it. Well, I got a call saying, "Hey, your stickers are all over the place.
Everywhere,
What's going
right.
on?" It's like, this is Virginia Beach. We don't need to, have that kind of image. I'm like, "Hey, I'll remedy this." So the guides, they were trying to do a good thing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they went back out with razor blades and, I let them keep a couple up, where
Yeah.
people, like, "Oh, that's cool. You can keep that there."
We've got a few stickers.
Yeah,
and,
it's
like
just-
I hide them. I take my little kayak killer
Right.
stickers and like put them behind signs. Like
Yeah.
only a kayaker if you're walking
That's
by.
right.
Go, "Oh,"
Gotcha. I gotcha.
Got a few of those here and there.
That's right.
But yeah, that's
a couple marked pilings every now and then.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
not what stickers.
So we kind of backed off the
Stick my gum
stickers
everywhere.
So
Yeah,
when
he's
you
just
asked for that,
gum on pilings. If you come across a piling, it's got K's and gum. You found the spot.
Yeah, everywhere,
That's
I've
a
caught,
spot.
everywhere I caught a sheep, so I stick my gum on it.
Nice.
That's
No,
the
I do
most
that.
random fishery in the world
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I know.
We still have like spots.
My piling.
Yeah,
It's
we still
my
have
favorite
our
piling,
spots,
yeah.
but that is the most random
Well,
fishery in the world.
there
'cause
are-
I bounced
there are
around one
spots.
day and found
Not in sheepshead, man. Not in
Man,
sheepshead. We've
they
seen
swim.
it. We've seen it. This is like one of the cool things about one of the only cool things about having a lot of guys around, right?
Right.
Guys are fishing everywhere.
That's
We're
right.
fishing on our one pilings that we've caught only sheepshead on. Where this is our one piling. We're obsessed about this one piling, and then there's guys just randomly catching them on every other piling anywhere.
Gotcha.
We would never even fish that other bridge.
I went to a different spot this year. I was gonna go
Yeah.
cobia fishing. Ended up not going cobia fishing, so I was right there near the pilings. I dropped in the first spot. I hooked up and broke a fish off immediately. I dropped down again. I got another bite and got hung up reeling up, and I was like, I gotta leave. I'm not gonna catch anything here. There's something wrapped around this piling. I gotta move. So I moved to the next piling over. Within a minute, I caught one.
Yeah.
I didn't catch another one there for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I caught another one there. Didn't catch another one there for a while. Went to a piling across the way because I saw a guy casting a cobia. Went over there. I didn't find the cobia or whatever. Just decided to throw my anchor around it. Dropped down, caught one there.
Nice.
Came back across the bridge, caught one immediately as soon as my bait got. I dropped it down the piling, reeled it up 5 cranks, because I was catching them at 5 cranks that day, or 8 cranks, or something like that. Whatever, how many cranks it was. I cranked to that many cranks, stopped, and the rod just doubled over. I was like, oh, well, that was easy. Let me drop a little more anchor line out and drop off to the piling behind it. Drop down, and this time I had to wait about 3 seconds. And got another bite. I mean, I caught 5 out of 6 that day. And I had never fished there before.
Right.
And I only caught 2 on the same piling.
Yeah.
It was the one piling I caught 2 on, and then I just started. That guy was casting at a cobia, and I hadn't had a bite off the piling I caught 2 on in like 30 minutes or something like that. So I was like, man, he didn't catch the cobia. I was like, well, if he really saw a cobia, I'm gonna go over there and look. So I went over there, took some time looking around it, casted around it for a while, and then I was like, you know what? Throw my anchor out. I caught a sheep's head right there, like almost immediately. It was like 2 minutes.
Yep. That's
But
good.
yeah, we have our pilings like, and that mainly those pilings are because I know what's the bottom is. I know exactly where the rubble is and what is.
Right.
That matters
exactly
a lot more tog fishing than it does
Yeah, it
sheep's
does
head
for sheep's head.
fishing.
It really does. It
And
really
I
does.
do have some pilings that I tog fish on.
Yeah. Just because you know those holes and you know, but really, sheep's head, it's been amazing watching just if they're anywhere.
Yeah.
They're more anywhere than we ever thought, and that's why I tell people when I was working at the tackle shop, I was telling guys, how far do you? Really from the shoreline out. I mean, really, literally, guys from the beach, if they're good, just like at Lynn Haven, they'll take the mole crabs and put their baits right at the bottom, right at the pilings from the shore and catch them from the shoreline. Yeah. So it is really just any any piling.
Nice.
Yeah. It's not so much the structure, like Lee said. The pure structure is more about the tog fishing, but it's pretty amazing when it comes down to that.
Like for me though, a lot of times I like fishing the drift.
Yeah.
Where I just like being active. I like moving. It's like I feel like when you're in a kayak, I stake up sometimes if I, in a shallow area, but I don't use an anchor at all.
Yeah.
I don't even own an anchor.
Yeah.
I have a stakeout pole that I won at one of the tournaments and one of the raffles, and I was like, when I first got it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever use this, but hey, that thing
helps.
it helps.
Especially when-
And then sometimes it's like just finesse fishing. Like I went fishing, before the weather shifted again. I went out in the inlet and I caught 4 nice redfish right in the inlet. And it's just staking up at the right area and just not spooking them and just putting the bait, and once I had them dialed in, it was on.
Yeah.
I caught like 23 fish one day.
Yeah,
It was just insane.
We went the other day and it was just after the bite had stopped.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was right at the end of the outgoing.
Yep, you're right.
We
It
went
is-
and caught
that's-
2 and we're like,
Yep.
all right, we'll move.
Yeah,
We started
there
playing
is a
around.
window.
Yeah.
There is a window for the bite. You're correct.
Especially this time of year when it's outgoing,
Yeah,
warmer
yeah.
water's coming
They're
out the
stacked
back.
in there though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of redfish in the inlet right now. And looking at my records, big flounders should start showing up. The bluefish anytime.
That's what I want to try because I haven't done that in Rudy yet.
Yeah.
I've caught a big one, but I was trolling off of Cape Henry one.
Okay.
Because that was years ago.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
like the
yeah,
last
yeah.
time I caught him, and the guys have been doing good at doing that. So I'm gonna definitely try that this year.
That's right. That's Rudy Inlet's a great place to get that trophy bluefish.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, what and they're not real big. I mean, release citation trophy because
Yeah.
man,
Yeah, it's like
16
16 pounds, and it's like every year there's like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
They're registered. That's it.
And those are usually
the
called
release ones.
offshore.
Like what's the length for release? 36, 38.
I think it's 30. I think it's 36 or 34.
Right.
I think it's still a big one.
It's a beast.
Yeah, I think it's 34. But this time, the springtime here, we got the big head blues, the big old heads and the real lean bodies to them.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
I like them, when they're like around that 10-pound range.
Yeah.
And this is like, and I feel too, it's like if you can catch a bluefish, you can pretty much catch anything in the ocean.
Yeah.
And they say you always just got to respect that mouth though.
Yeah.
I saw a guy from Pennsylvania one time. I don't know if he never caught a bluefish or he was new to saltwater fishing, but man, that guy lost, quarter of his thumb. I looked down and I thought the guy was hooked with a hook. And I was just like, hey man, did you get hooked? And he goes, nah man, that fish bit me. And I was like, no duh, Sherlock.
Yeah.
It's like, look at their teeth, man. It's like razor sharp, man. They'll bite
And they
through
chunk,
anything.
chunk, chunk,
I got held onto the pier, dude. They don't let go. Once
No,
they
that's
don't
right.
chop. Once they get you, they
Once they're on,
chop.
That's right.
Well,
That's
one that
right.
got my nuts chop.
Ah,
He held on, but as I was trying to grab him, he chop.
Oh, you could use this front.
wow. Yeah, that's a little too close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was a small one too. That wasn't 30 inch.
You could use the
I was like,
Front
15
door?
incher.
Yeah,
Oh.
comes right. Oh. This is not the only way in my house.
Yeah, it's another.
Okay, this is your house.
Yeah.
Okay. Roommates or
No. We just do the podcast. I live down the street.
this
Basically.
is Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is our studio.
It's come a long way.
You're in
When
studio
he initially
too.
started, it was just like a little table, and now he's got a backdrop. He's got the camouflage going on.
Right.
He's
Well,
like,
that's what-
he's like your color coordinator. You called me up. You were like, "Hey, we're darker colors."
Well, we noticed
Yeah.
that the white shirts
That's right.
would bleed out.
So,
Not
like-
bleed out, but it would take much attention from the faces.
it's real bright.
Yeah, dark, you can see the faces more, and that's what when you're watching the video, and the back, the background, the backing lights, one like little backing lights just to bring up, and then but the first was just that, and then I was like, it's too bright,
right.
it needs some dark, and then bring the lights out. So the first couple times, this works.
You got a good thing going here, Kevin.
works.
Definitely. Because it's like, most people, it's like
He's
most
like,
fishermen.
Kayak, Kevin says I get to be on his podcast.
I saw the podcast. I thought it was cool.
I know.
Yeah.
And
He
Kevin,
loves
Kevin,
you.
and
He
Lee-
watches your
Kevin and
videos,
Lee,
like, all the
they're like
time.
some of the original guys. It's
I
like you have to
know.
Yeah,
remember, it's like
we've
we
all
all
seen
came up
each other
together.
for a long
we all
time.
came up together,
Yeah.
and it's like there's a handful of us, and whenever we see each other,
Every time I
it's
go
cool.
to Rudy, I just smile because I think about that flounder you caught.
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh
like,
no, we were just there last week, and we said, this is Iowa's spot. This is
Yeah.
Zavisa.
Zavisa. Now it's
He's
like
a
this is
Colorado.
Steven's spot.
Yeah.
It's not my spot.
No, but every time we
everyone's.
paddle by it, it's that flounder.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that every time we paddle by
Every time.
Every
There's
time.
there's no time that we don't
We don't
mention
go,
it.
that flounder.
Yep.
You caught that flounder.
They're there. they're definitely in there, and I hope I get a chance to catch another one like that. And
That's
That's a lifetime flounder. That's a lifetime
Fabulous.
flounder.
yeah, that was one of those
Best
one of those
fish
life ones.
ever.
I bet.
That was that like made me as a fisherman like legit because it's like
Behind
before
the
that you would as a guide people were you're only as good as your last
Yes.
fish, so everyone has this mindset. It's like and I was just finding that I was taking guys out. Well, they never kayaked before their entire life.
Yeah.
If you have a little bit of wind, I'm spending all my time just giving them basic techniques, and
Yeah.
there really wasn't a lot of fishing going on. There was I got real good at fixing braided line all mauled up, and I'm like and then you get your gear back and you look at it, you're like, how did this guy do this?
Yeah.
It's impossible. I've been fishing since I was probably 4 years old, and I've never gotten my gear this jacked up.
Right.
Man, it's just like. So
thing about
it is what it is. I just smile,
It's
and I'm
also-
like, I try to make it their experience. And one thing that I do sometimes when I'm fishing is I'll pass the rod. Where a lot of guys they'll never pass the rod,
Right.
but I have.
Sometimes you have to.
Sometimes I have to, and people don't like it because I use a leash. And I have a leash that I use, and they have to clip it onto their PFD. Then I'll hand them the fish because I lost gear.
Right.
And it's like someone could say, oh, guiding is where it's at, but you get one piece of your gear damaged. There's no margin there's no margin for error.
Yeah.
You lose a rod and reel.
And
It's
you're
like
not in a
the
boat.
people are like, oh, oops, sorry.
No,
They're like,
just
oops,
go.
sorry.
It's
And
And
you're
it's
not
like,
in a
well,
boat. You can't go to the rock.
like, oh.
You don't have like.
they don't realize it's like, hey, that's a $135 setup you just dropped on the bottom. You're like, sorry, that's nice, but let's try to get this back. And I always see the guys out there sometimes, and they got their anchor and they're trying to pull up the rods, and I'm like, man, using a leash, especially in the salt water if you're doing any kind of trolling or anything, because if you do have a big bluefish or a big red or get into a predatory fish, it's going to really take it and run with it. Even a big croaker.
Yeah.
A big croaker will hit like a Mack truck, and
if you're not ready-
and it's not ready. It'll pull your gear, everything
If you're not
overboard.
ready.
If you're not
Yeah.
ready and you don't have
I've seen. The most people lose stuff to stingrays all the time.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
People lose
You don't
stuff
expect
to
that.
stingrays
You don't expect that.
all the time.
Run.
You get that thing right to the boat, and you think
Oh,
everything
that.
is cool, and it's never
That's right.
cool. They'll take off. They'll snatch the
That's
rod
right.
out of your hand.
That's right. You want to
break
get
the
them on
rod
hook.
right in
Don't
your
worry
hand.
about your circle hook or whatever
Well,
you use.
yeah, no, no,
Just
no.
let it go because you don't want to mess with that barb.
You don't
Because if
need-
that barb gets you,
I don't even worry about that.
Yeah.
I just don't like to break my tackle. I don't do. I don't.
That's why that Jay video how to deal with the ray was so funny, because that was how it happened. We saw him messing with it, just like, dude, just cut it. The whole time we're
Right.
going, just cut it, and we're like, kicking back, like laughing, like here it goes. It's gonna
Right.
break. He's just like
The rod's getting ready to explode,
It's
and
gonna
then it
happen.
just explodes.
Ta-ta! We're like, yep.
That's right.
Waiting for it to happen, man.
Because we've done it so many times. We've done it too many times. I broke most of my rods are broken on.
Yeah,
on
anything
rigs.
I've ever broken a lot
It's
of
on
tackle
rays.
is yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Especially
I've broken small
fishing
rods.
rods.
I've broken small rods on regular like stripers and stuff, but
Yeah.
angling wrong and all that stuff. But any big rods that I've been broken on rays, just trying to get my weight back or trying.
Yeah,
to,
You don't need anything. Anything a ray has, you don't need it.
Yeah,
That's right.
you know.
People
Yeah.
think too. It's like I had a guy one time.
What is
He
your
hooked
question?
into a ray. He was just like, I want to keep it. I'm going.
Ooh.
You don't want to keep it. I said
No.
you can't eat it. He's just like he was trying to tell me that you can fillet the wings, and I'm just like,
I mean, you can, but it's a lot of work. I mean, if you
And you're supposed to take them and put. They're supposed to be iced, like
Exactly.
yeah. This
Yeah.
thing is supposed to be iced.
I-
It's like
I've
a
never
shark,
heard-
man. It's gonna. Like,
you can,
Right,
but it's a
terrible.
lot of work. It's like a lot of preparation.
right.
It's a lot of
Gotcha.
it's
Like
a lot of
anything,
stuff to do.
and that's the thing too.
But
it's
even
like,
more so.
I'm sure you guys see too. It's like you see guys out there, and it's like the fishing is real good, and they keep a lot of fish. A lot of these guys, and it's like and it's like
Yeah,
it's
we go
good.
over that all the time.
Yeah, and it's good if if you're gonna clean it and you process it, but you have to remember you're out there fishing for 4 or 5 hours. When you get home, you keep 10 trout. Man, that's a good 40 minutes of cleaning
And
right
what's-
there.
what's funny-
and that's if you're gonna do it right.
What's funny is that's how I turned into a catch and release fisherman.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much. It was I was on the conservation side, but it was about I'm sick of spending the time cleaning these fish. When the spot run, we had a killer spot run in 2004.
Yeah. I
I
remember
was
that.
keeping 50 1-pound spot. I mean, I had so many spots in the front of my boat. My bow was digging in, like, coming back from HRBT, and so I'm spending like 3 hours catching a fish, and then I'm spending another 3 hours
At
cleaning,
least.
a million spot.
right.
My hands are cold.
That's right.
And then I got to the point where it's like I wasn't eating them all. I was ending up giving away just I had too much fish and all that stuff. And I got to the point where I'm not
That's
doing
right.
this anymore. And I could spend more time on the water rather than be on this table cleaning.
That's right.
Right, you've got the
It really
front,
was-
I got the front of the boat filled. I gotta leave.
And then of course conservation. I started learning more about the species and all that
That's
stuff.
right.
But early on, I was just like, I'm just sick of cleaning fish. I mean, I
That's
was
right.
good at it.
What's
You
like
know,
it's
I
like
was just sick
for a lot
it.
of guys they think of it as like a badge of honor.
Yes.
And it's like I
Yeah.
see the
Oh,
old guys
yeah.
especially they're real bad where
We went into this about
will
the trout.
they will overfish and then they'll go to someone on the shore
And
then just toss
Yes.
like 3, 4, 5, 6 pound fish
It's
just
a
on the
weird-
shore.
it's
And
a
it's
weird
just a weird
mentality.
culture.
It's a weird mentality.
But
But you have those levels. You have the
Right.
Rick always brought it up to me. He said you have the 4 levels. I think it is. You start off with you want to catch anything,
Right.
And then you want to catch anything. It's catch your limits of. Or then you want to catch a target.
Sounds like
then you
Rick
want to
too.
catch your limit of your target.
Right.
Then you want to catch your target your way. And that's your high level.
Gotcha.
And,
That makes
and
sense.
by the time you get past your 3rd level, you should be almost a conservationist at this point.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
You should have learned so much about the
That's right.
species. You're more of a scientist at that level of high level fisherman than you are a meat gatherer.
That's
You know,
right.
you're not
Right.
there at this point
That's right.
of your level to bring in groceries. But what's weird is you get to that point and then you get retirement age and all you want to do is kill as many fish as you want to. I don't know
right.
if it's like, okay, we're about ready to die, so we're going to wipe it out for everybody, but it seems like it's we really talked about before is it's more like these guys are retired. It gives them a purpose.
That's right.
Yeah.
Instead of just
The
going
neighbors
out
are gonna
and
come
catching.
see them.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's a good point.
And
And maybe that's just a social thing, and
It's
maybe it's a bridge, and people do ask for
Pretty
fish.
commercial fishing.
People ask me all the time. My
yeah.
neighbors.
Yeah.
I one year I had a real good trout day, and I cleaned them all up real nice, and cleaned the skins, and I mean really flayed it nice, and gave it to my neighbors, and like, hey, here's some fish and so forth. Probably the worst thing I ever did because
Yeah.
now they're on me.
Oh, yeah.
They're like they see me coming back in, and it's like I might have like maybe 3 trout for Courtney and I to have for dinner, and they're like, do you think you can give me one of those? I'm like, why don't you come with me? And I got extra rod for you. I got extra boat, and like, the wife won't let me go. And
One
I'm
of, the,
like, okay.
one of the great tog fishermen in the area. I'm not gonna say his name because I'm gonna dog him here a little bit. But one of the great older tog fishermen in the area. He came to the shop and he's always like, I gotta give my, all my church people want tog. They want tog. Why don't you just give them croaker and spot?
right.
He's like, no, but they want tog. Because you keep giving them tog.
That's right.
Stop giving them tog. Give them croaker and spot, and they'll be all right. You're giving them fish. You're
That's
going
right.
out and it's really. I think when you get
Above
to that age,
limits.
Yeah, above limits.
Coolers
yes, he does.
full.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
It's like
I think what it is, they're commercial fishing for pets on the
Oh
back.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
you know, but
Donation fishing.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, it's
Commercial
like
donation.
I think this year we're going to see a lot more cracking down. I really do. I think there's just so much activity, and I think they beefed up, you know, the surveillance.
Timer
You know, they know
was
what's going on. So I foresee,
Huh?
you know, these guys who catch over their limits and not following the guidelines. You know, there's going to be, you know, consequences.
What about the new limits? You're depressed about those.
You know, just
Well, for trout?
Yeah.
well, they close the season down.
Oh, the
yeah.
season, but yeah.
Well,
but-
Yeah,
it'll
how
reopen.
long
But
they
the thing is, though,
closed it.
it'll reopen. You know, when the big ones are there.
Yeah.
So you know, during the summertime, you can catch, you know, schoolies, you
Yeah.
know, all day long. But you know, the big trout, you know, you don't get to the fall anyway. So
There's a
it all
lot more
works
to
out.
keep in the summer too. I mean, you got your
you
a
have-
lot of people eat redfish. I mean,
Yeah.
A lot of people,
They're
redfish
good.
is starting to get real.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
They are delicious. So you get
I don't
them
like
right
them,
side.
but I
croaker
just
to
don't.
me.
Yeah, it tastes like a croaker to me, and
Love 'em.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, we
I
can't,
look
we
at
can't,
them
we
and
can't
I'm
kill
like,
them because we
ooh,
love
look how
them when
big
they
you're
get
gonna
big.
Hey,
Yeah.
these guys, they like the cows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we know. We
So
know
I really don't target the cows
Mm.
because I
In a
bring
matter
it
of-
in and then throw it back. I'm like,
in a
ah.
matter of years, that 20 inch is going to be up with those big guys.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
you
just a
don't
matter
eat
of a
meat.
few years.
You only eat fish, so
Right.
you're out there catching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, if you don't eat.
Yeah,
soy
yeah,
meat, you
it's
just
like
like
we
eat
do.
Oh, you only eat soiled.
No,
No cow. You know, no
we don't
birds.
participate in the animal holocaust.
Animal Holocaust, yeah.
Except you're
You know,
on.
plus in the inland too, it's like it's good too because it's like
You're on Pride
you can go to the Eastern Shore, or you know, I like eating blue crabs, and it's like you know the blue crab fishery here is
the
amazing.
Flounder fishing
It's
hasn't been
amazing.
great, but the crab fishing
Yeah.
has been awesome.
Yeah, so I'll catch crabs some days. It's, you know, some days, you know, whatever it is, I'll eat a croaker if it's a nice size. You know, spot. I'm not, you know.
Spot.
It's
croaker,
just,
one
my
of my
limit
favorite
is
ones.
you have to be able to fillet.
Fillet.
That's right.
That's
I
why
don't do.
that's right.
I don't fry anything anyway.
That's
anything
Spot.
at all.
I'll do
That's
10
good.
10 inches is my
So
limit. 10 inch spot is my limit because I can fillet a 10 inch.
yeah, I don't.
That's right.
I don't keep anything I can't.
That's how
fillet.
I look at it too. When
I
I'm
keep-
holding the fish, I'm like, is this a fillet?
Right.
Yes or no?
Right.
I keep more togs than I keep anything.
Because there's some fish that might be the length, but they're skinny fish. And
Yeah.
there's, you know, there's no.
Seen a lot of striper
But
out
then,
there.
but then there was that. Do you remember the year where the flounder fishery? It was like 19 and a half inches, or
Oh
it's
yeah,
like-
man!
You remember that
back
year?
when we
And it's
first
like
all started,
I
it was
remember
19 and a half inches, man.
I was just like, you would get these huge. Now what is this? 15 and a half,
Yeah.
16,
16
16 now.
I don't even know.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
have
think
to
it's
look up
close
for
to
this
that.
year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that you know, back then you would get like a big fat 18-inch fish. I mean, they stunt the fish, but the fillets were
Yeah.
this fat.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like you would have it in your lap. You're like, release. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, tail's not getting there.
Oh.
And mouth still clean,
Yeah, nothing
working.
you can do. That's right. So now,
Yeah, I
now
mean,
it's a
the-
little bit easier now, but you
Yeah.
know, but even when you get those smaller fish, the fillet's not there.
Right.
You know, it's
Right.
there if you were trying to have like a little sushi maybe.
And 18
Right.
inches is a good
Right.
fish anyway. But
Yeah.
if you, a 17, if you get a fat, you can get
That's
a fat
right.
17.
That's
Even
right.
a 16 is you get a fat 16 is a good size. You can fillet
What,
that
for
out.
flounder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
see,
it's fat.
I like my flounder like 20 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
a solid
great.
piece.
That's
of
a
meat.
solid
Easy,
piece of meat.
easy
That's
to get
right.
all of it off.
Like
You don't have to break out the
keeper
crab
limit
meat.
for- When
Yeah.
when Tog was 14, you can get a good fillet off a 14-inch
Yeah.
Tog.
Yeah.
It's up to 16 now. I mean, you're keeping good sized fish just at the
At the size.
keeper size.
That's right.
Because 14 inches, I mean, I felt like filleting a 14-inch fish, it was worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to keep anything that's not worth it.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, I don't keep the big sheep's head, but I will keep small ones.
Yep.
Yep.
Especially that day I caught a bunch of them.
Mhm.
The last one I caught was like 19 or 20 inches,
And that's
and
the
it was
size.
by far the smallest one I caught all day. And I was like, man, I've caught a bunch of you guys. I'm gonna eat this one.
There you go.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do too. I don't know about you guys, but you're out on the water and you get hungry, and it's like you're out there fishing, and then it's like you know initially you're like, I'm gonna catch and release today. And then towards the end, your stomach's growling, you're going, oh, next thing you know you're rolling
Like
in.
the hunter gatherer comes.
That's right. It is almost.
Yeah, it is. But for me, it's the triggerfish. Like I'll
Triggerfish,
catch
okay.
one and I'll go. I'll put them back, and then I'll catch another one. And go, should I start keeping these?
That's
And,
right.
You know, but you don't know how
love them.
you don't know
That's
how big of a pocket you're in.
That's
or
right,
if You're
that's
only
right.
gonna catch two.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Triggerfish are really good too. Like one of the best bait fish.
That's my
you can
favorite.
catch.
That's my favorite one.
Triggerfish.
Yeah.
Nice.
So crazy though. You got to carve around them with a razor knife, and then just barely lift the skin
Yeah, the
off.
skin's
I mean, it's really tough, but it lifts off so easy.
Yeah, do like
you just
2
carve
minutes.
around it, with a fillet with a.
The first time
razor
you
knife?
did it, did you go to YouTube to figure out how to do it, or you just
No,
kinda
the first time I
experimented?
did it, I dulled my knife
Right,
in about
gotcha.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
and was like, man, I need a razor.
And then I think somebody told me to do the razor or even a knife inside. Inside.
You
the
can go
skin out.
inside and out.
But a razor knife is the easiest thing.
Yeah, X-Acto knife around the outside edge of them.
And you just peel the
lift it
skin
off.
like
it
a
just
tuna,
lifts right off.
and then you flake.
And it's actually like hard.
Do you ever feel bad when you kill the fish?
Yeah, that's why I don't kill many.
You don't.
Yeah, I even feel bad
You do
sometimes.
feel bad.
Yeah, I
I
even
see
feel bad.
people
when-
have them on stringers, man. I don't like stringers.
Yeah.
What does that mean? They're still alive?
Yeah, they keep them alive in the
I feel
water.
bad using eels because
Yeah.
Oh, see, I don't.
because the thing is at the
Oh,
tackle
Kayak
shop
Kevin's nice.
I used to feed the eels, and
Yeah.
my problem is I realized how gentle and nice
Yeah.
eels actually are. You put
Yeah.
your hands in the tank and they come up to you. I mean, I had my I started.
Yeah, so you're trying to hook them up, and then they'll come back and try to bite you, man.
Well, don't try
I've
to
never
hook
had
up.
them. Yeah, but
Leave 'em alone.
yeah, but what I
Wait,
what I
go
do
ahead,
what I do
Kevin.
now is when I hook one, if I haven't caught a fish with, I'll let him go. So
I
if
do
he
that
does
as
get
well.
hooked-
I do
he does
that
get
too.
hooked. I use him. If he doesn't get hooked,
That's
you're
right.
free.
At the end,
Because
that's what I
one
do.
time he came home and he
Don't put
piled,
the eye anymore.
he piled them up in the sink.
Oh, you fucking pussy.
He piles
Jesus
them in the
fucking
sink
Christ.
to skin them or whatever. What do you call it? Clean them.
Mm-hmm.
He piles them up in the sink. And one day I walked in.
Yeah,
one
that's right.
That's
Kickers.
horrible.
Kickers.
That is
I
very
don't like
mean.
it, yeah,
And
I
you
don't-
need to invent a device that as soon as you catch one, it's gone.
Well, that's what guys do. There's some guys out there
watch
that break the
Hawaii.
necks.
Watch
Watch the
Hawaii.
Hawaiian boys,
They
yes.
know how to
Alright,
kill
the
some
Hawaiian
fish.
boys, I gotta give it up for
You
them too.
should.
You wanna see a
should
black
not
marlin?
let
The
them
Hawaiian
fish.
They got a black mar- They got a picture on the internet right
That's right.
now of a black
They-
marlin with a
they
stake
kill 'em.
through its,
Yeah,
through its
the
head.
Hawaiians, they use a spear,
That's
they
nice.
spear them up, they
There's
lance them
no
up, they
sense in that
gap them,
fish
and then they hit them in the
gasping
head with
for
a
air in
mullet.
my
Yeah.
sink.
A lot of fish I catch that I'm gonna keep. I cut their throats and bleed them
Bleed
out
'em.
anyway.
You do.
Yeah, so that's a quick
It's
death.
so
also.
much easier to.
What do you
so
do,
much nicer
Steven?
when you clean them.
I'm very humane.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
No.
Flounder, I don't deal with live flounder when I keep flounder because I used to have a friend that really liked them. I don't, I don't particularly care for flounder. So, but I used to have a friend Mike, and his mom always wanted them. So, I catch a flounder. I'd get him in the boat, the scissors between the eye, bam,
But then they're gone.
dead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I
dead
mean, if you're
because
gonna-
flounder go absolutely
Yeah, they-
crazy anyway.
And then for a while, you put them inside your hole and you're paddling around all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom,
That's right.
and,
Yeah,
whoa, what's
it
that?
just
Yeah,
scares
it
you.
scares you. So.
They just go crazy, and so I mean, yeah, anything I will dispatch. I'm not scared. Like most of the time, I'll bleed a fish before. I
Bleeding is probably the
dispatch it.
good way
Yeah.
because one, you're cleaning them out and it kills them.
That's
it
right.
kills them out. It bleeds them out. And meat's cleaner. So when we
Right.
the
You
Kobe.
need to teach Steven how to do that.
I got it.
Yeah, you just cut the where the gills.
Yeah.
Where the
You
gills
don't do
go
that.
to the body.
I do that.
It's a little
But
strip.
the meat is very clean
Yeah.
when I'm finished.
But
I've
you
cleaned a
should-
lot of fish over the years.
It was amazing the cobia that we butchered on the water on Rick's boat. We got video.
The
on.
video of
Yeah, that
that
thing
one that bled out all in the water.
bled out in the water. It had no. When he cleaned it, there was no blood.
It was awesome.
The
I mean,
little one that I caught, the 40-incher, had more blood than
Wow.
anything. It was
Yeah.
So
amazing.
you're doing two things. You're being nice to the fish,
We
Oh,
weren't
it's-
nice to that fish.
and you're
Those guys were not nice.
You
to
were
that.
nice with that fish.
That was ridiculous.
That was pretty
I was like
brutal.
I was filming, going, "Shit, look at these idiots! Holy shit!" Look at these-
Well, the cobia, if you get caught by the dorsal fins, man, you can get
Well,
bacteria.
what happened
right?
with this one is
Yeah.
Destroy
what
it.
happened with this fish is it was a big fish and had a wide head, and we had a narrow headed gaff. It's like a 3-inch hook on the gaff, and we try and gaff the fish so that they bleed anyway. So I'll try and hit a fish like in the head.
Okay.
So Rick goes to hit this fish underneath of its head, and the hook wasn't wide enough to go past its gill,
So
the split where the
Okay.
main artery and everything comes through connects the gills. So he just came up this side, and all he got was
Gill.
a cut through the gills. I mean,
Yeah,
he took him out.
Yeah.
And
So
then
so
in
they
the
try
gill
to
plate.
pull-
So
they get it up.
They
and
get
try
in
to
one
pull
and they put it on the deck of the boat.
They pop it.
the
It
gaff
gets loose.
just pulls
It's
out.
loose.
Oh.
And that blood went.
Yeah, I'll show you the video.
It's- yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one to see.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
war.
slow motion.
We'll probably pull up
gory
on that
as
in a second.
shit.
As soon as we get done
Yeah,
here,
as soon as we
we'll
get
pull
done.
it
Yeah,
up. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it just throws blood all over the boat, and then this thing is in the water. And the water that day was crystal clear. I
Yeah.
mean,
It
I
still
didn't even
hit the
see that
water.
cobia because I was looking at spadefish underneath of it, and Kevin was like, "There's one." I was like, what? And he's like, cobia. We turned around. Sure. Yep.
Yeah, I had launched off of, we were doing mothership, we were going to try to catch them off the kayaks. We had launched off of Rick's boat a couple of times and we didn't get it right. They got, they saw me, whatever it was, I got too close, whatever it was, we spooked those like 4 times. And then the next one we're like, he's getting this one on the boat, just get it on the boat. And I grabbed the cameras and was like, go ahead.
So
That was a good one.
it shook off the gaff, and the water was crystal clear that day. And then the video, you can't see underneath the fish or anything.
Yes,
I mean, this fish
so
is
much
just
blood.
pumping blood all through the water.
And then it fights.
It fought for like 5 minutes after
Another 5
that.
minutes, still bleeding out, and finally at the end, there's no more blood coming out of the thing. And it's
Yeah.
still like going, well,
Yeah.
get it in the
Resilient.
The boat is flopping.
No blood.
No blood, anyway.
It literally completely drained out fighting.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's gory. It's terrible.
That's a
This video was just 67 pounds.
Yeah, it was huge.
nice 67.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
Nice one. The biggest one I've
The
ever.
weirdest fight. The thing just kind of.
It didn't want to ever do anything. Never made a run.
Pulled it right to
anything.
the boat, enough
Came
for
up
me to
right
get
next
the
to
camera under the
Yeah,
water.
it was just out of gaff range the whole time. Right on top, just out of gaff range the whole time. Every now and then it would just give a spurt and take a few feet.
Yeah.
Of course, I fish off the boat with a rod, and the drag is just locked down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, plus
to the point where I handed one to my neighbor one time, fishing on his boat. And he's like, the drag is too tight. I was like, did the line break? He's like, no. I was like, you're good.
That's right.
The drag's like, does the line break?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You don't want that 67-pounder go down the bottom and die, and you have to winch
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Your whole
That's
thing
a
was
big-
keeping that thing up.
That's right.
Because that thing was bleeding out.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Oh, that was going to die.
It was going to like just
That fish
start
was
to-
gonna die.
It was going to stiffen up sooner or later, just
Yeah.
starting to drop, and yeah. We're gonna wrap it up. We're getting to the hour and a half mark.
Cool. Damn.
We started about
The
15 minutes
first-
before.
nice.
Yeah, we started at 15 minutes, but the first 45 minutes was the second 45
Yeah.
minutes have gone so much faster.
Nice.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Kevin,
It was
what's
awesome
the first
having you
fish
here.
you ever caught?
Ever?
Out of a kayak?
No, in your whole life.
Croaker, maybe. Yeah.
I probably caught sunfish or
Yes,
a
either
catfish.
that or
There's
croaker.
pictures of me when I was a little kid with catfish.
I got a picture of me like when I was 7 years old. It's pretty decent sized croaker, like a 15-incher.
I got a picture of me when I was like 6, something like a catfish,
Catfish,
like this.
yeah.
There you go.
Mount Trashmore. My dad used to go fish for the stripers in Mount Trashmore
Really?
in the evenings. Oh yeah, he used to stock stripers and walleyes in Mount Trashmore.
Oh, sorry. You got to tell them about your power plant experience real quick
What's that?
with Corey.
Oh, these guys know about that. They take the guys there. Have you ever had a opportunity to fish at the Dominion private land?
No,
We
I
haven't been there, but the guy we
was
had up here last week has.
doing that. So we all know.
I
we
see
know
the
about that
pictures.
stuff,
I see the pictures of the guys. Yeah.
They,
Yes.
Guys, you just did it.
I work
Yeah,
on
you
the weekends.
just
That's what I said. The guy we had last week.
I had an
Yeah.
opportunity to go, and it's like I'd never because what's happening is this is going to be the last year for it because they
Right.
Yeah.
pull, they're
Right.
shutting it down. Well, my friend Corey, a friend of mine told me, and it's just like he goes, you gotta check it out. And I'm like, I've never done it before, so I went. And let me just tell you what, man, I worked it out. I mean, I caught like 8 citation trout, and I didn't,
He's
you know,
never caught
I didn't
so
really
many
post
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I put
one
it back. I mean, it was just that fishery there is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's almost like fishing in an aquarium.
Yep.
That's all I can say.
Yep.
That spot,
And if
yeah.
you get a chance to go there, I guess maybe next year it's gonna. But
Well, maybe Corey will take all of you.
it's the.
It's a Heroes on the Water
This
thing.
is it though.
It's a Heroes on the Water thing. I know.
Yeah, and
They just did it.
the HOW thing has been,
Yeah, so if
and
you
they
know
did
someone-
another little
if you know
event.
someone that Dominion.
Yeah.
Billy did another little event the other
Yeah,
day.
I just
So I
Yeah, see
think it
Wayne
was
sometimes on there.
Wayne
Yeah.
and Billy were at the same thing Saturday.
And the
I think
losers,
they went
I see
back
the
to
losers
same
there
place.
sometimes because it's a giveaway because no one wants to really get the facility, but then you can see the backdrop and you know exactly if you've been there, you know
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's where they're standing on land. It's private land anyway,
Right, yeah.
and if you're up there, you're trespassing. So
That's right.
Yeah.
You know they're and it's awesome that they let that organization go down there. and
I
fish
felt
in the
honored
day.
to fish there. I
The
thought it
employees
was
there
fun.
used to be able to fish in that exact same area. I don't know if the employees there or if there are employees that can fish in there anymore, but
I think they can.
I know that's awesome that they allowed that area
Yeah.
for the organization because it's such a good fishery. Everybody
And you
Billy
can
said
fish, yeah.
everybody that went caught something.
That's right. That's right.
And that is so awesome.
Yeah, that is important because a lot of times if you take someone out for their first or second time, and if they don't hook up, if they don't have a good time, chances of them coming back again.
Yeah.
And when you ask them, it's like, hey, would you like to go fishing?
Man, I was just bored.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
But
That's
bring
right.
your life jacket.
Sorry, life jackets.
Yeah, you have to have your life jacket
Yep.
standing on land.
That happened to us because we got there the first time, and I've never been. I was a guest, and we go, and I'm like, the guys are like, oh, geez. So we had to go back, and I'm like, well, I live at the ocean front, so it was a little too far to go because I have plenty of PFDs. So we finally went to my buddy's house who had a boat, and we like all ended up at. My buddy had like a pink one on. I had like and it's just enough to, you know.
Yeah.
It was worth it though.
Well, I mean,
hey, you know what? It was worth putting it on.
We
Let's
got
just
all
say
the
that.
way to the Eastern Shore one time, and I think we've said this on the podcast before. We got all the way to the Eastern Shore one time and realized I didn't have mine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And like there was an officer at the dock.
So we're-
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
I'm
he's
like real
panicking the whole
sketched
way,
out
right?
the whole time.
Yeah.
We get out around some rocks. And in there's just like a perfectly good, like brand
PFD
new
just
orange
floating.
one.
Oh,
orange one, not
rocks.
floating.
Yeah,
Up in
nice.
the rocks, dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think Trip still has that thing.
Yeah,
That's
so we
good.
used it
Called
that day,
good
then
karma.
and then I kept it in my truck as a spare.
Yeah, that's
just in
right.
case he
Yeah, and
needs
we've
one on
used
the
it.
road.
We used it a few times,
Yeah.
got it back a few times, and then I think Trip Seed has it.
Yeah, and he borrowed it.
I think it was Trip Seed they used it the last time.
Well, that's one piece of gear that you really have to. You don't want to skip on it.
You have to
gotta have the
have
PFD, and unfortunately, I see more and more guys out there without their PFDs on, and I know
How?
the farmer tan and so forth, but man, it's like it's like, you know, all you gotta do is think about that guy outside Rudy Inlet. You know, where the boat came in, the wave
Right.
hit. If he would have had a PFD on, things could have been different for that guy. So it's just like.
I
You know,
should
so I'm
wear.
always
I
like-
I should wear.
Oh,
I-
yeah.
That's one thing that I stress on, and it's just like, you know, guys can do a lot of things, but you know, if they are goofing around, they don't have a PFD on, especially if you're doing like surf launches, you know, because it's just anything can happen.
Well, because we definitely wear one for that because the chances you get knocked out are pretty great there.
Yes.
You can actually get knocked the hell
Yes.
out and
Yeah.
die,
Yes.
and that's what happens. That's
Yes.
exactly what happens. That's how you're going to die in that situation. So
Yep.
yeah, we wear a life jacket. for that.
Head trauma or
Hypothermia.
heart.
That's
Well,
what they call it.
hypothermia is called
That's right.
head trauma or
Heart attack.
something with your, you know,
That's right.
a hard action to your chest,
Yeah.
and
That's right.
that's it. Knock the wind out of you, and you're in the water.
That's
you
right.
don't breathe for 45 seconds, and that's it.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
that's what another reason why I have a life jacket on when you
Yeah.
surf launch.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
That you get punched. in
And a
the
helmet
chest.
too. I have a helmet. Sometimes it's like if it's a little sketchy out, I'll put it on. I'm not
I
too
know,
proud,
man.
man.
I know.
It's like, 'cause, man, it just gives me that little extra oomph, and you know, once you're clear, then you look back and you're like, yeah. Then you got to ride it back in.
Yeah.
That's the fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before we quit, your Ocean Eagle kayak,
Yes.
OceanEagleKayak.com.
Ocean-
and then
EagleKayak.com.
your other team. Let's see,
We're the Z team.
team.
Yep, we're the Z
Sold
team.
by the Z
Sold by the
team.
ZTeam.com. You know, we got into real estate. We love real estate. It's, you know, we feel an honor to, you know, help people buy, sell, and get into real estate investing. It's a compliment for us. You know, there was a time where our real estate career, we thought we were gonna have to put the kayaking business aside. You know, just because we were so active.
Right.
And you know, we did a course, and we found we want to be bold. So we use the kayaking as a median for our real estate. So, you know, when I first started the kayaking business, you know, 9 years ago, that was my job. You know, I would be like, hey, Richard family, I gotta eat. You know, let's go kayaking. I don't care if it's 25-mile-per-hour winds.
Yeah.
You know, but then, you know, I geared up for that second season. I'm going, I got this. I'm dialed in. Well, I lost half my business because of the weather.
Yeah.
You know, it seemed like every Thursday,
yeah.
Friday, Saturday, and then
Yeah.
and then Courtney was already, you know, actively working real estate. She's like, you know, hey, you know, you'd be awesome at it. So I got my real estate
It's
license.
like
and
fishing. You have
now I feel
people
truly
find the
blessed,
house
you know,
and-
because now it's, you know, I get to help people, you know, fulfill the American dream through home ownership. And in the mornings, I get to take people kayaking, and it's, man, this is a calling for me, Kev. It's like, you know, you got 5 minutes. I'll tell the quick story and then wrap it up.
Yeah.
You know, here's how I got into the kayaking. We went through a transitional part. I was living in Northern Virginia. I was living in the rat race. I had a corporate job. I had a Land Cruiser. I had a condominium. I had all the toys, but I just wasn't happy. I just didn't feel right inside. So the market started to shift. I sold a condominium. I was able to come to Virginia Beach. Originally, I was going to go to North Carolina. It was a little too rural for me. Plus at the time, the girls in Virginia Beach were a lot better looking than the girls in the Carolinas at the time. So I liked the Virginia Beach ladies. So I bought a de-stressed in-unit townhouse at Ocean Lakes, and I mean, I worked on that thing like, I mean, if something was wrong, it was wrong in that house. Had Quest plumbing. I had to fix some plumbing issues.
God.
It was like,
That's
I mean,
terrible.
that house smelled like cat urine. And so as I was working on this project, I bought a original Ocean Kayak Malibu 2 out of the newspaper.
Oh, that's
From the
cute.
Tim Niemeyer original molds and so forth from the early 90s. And so what I would do is I would schedule certain times during the day. So today I'm going to remove this wallpaper. Today I'm going to do this. I had a to-do list. And then my reward, I would start kayaking. Well, I was getting to the end of my project, and I went out in the ocean, I was along the coastline, and I started praying real deep. And I was just like, Lord, you know, here I am. It's like you're blessing me beyond belief, and you know, and I was just praying real hard. And then out of nowhere, a pot of dolphins came up, and the big bull came up and rubbed the side of my boat. And I paddled with this pod for a good 45 minutes. So I'm thinking in my head, I said, this is it. You know, I got back to the truck. I wrote down Ocean Eagle Kayak in my notebook in my truck. I called my dad up, and I was like, hey, Pops, this is what happened. I just had this experience. He goes, roll with it. He goes, my dad's like, send me some
Like a
send me some
dream,
content.
yeah, like
let's get you on the internet. Let's get you going. Now I'm like, and I didn't realize my dad was like, he was a military guy.
You got the right
and
place
it's like,
for it.
and I was right on
Yeah.
it. So then I was just like, you know, I started doing it. I remember that, man, just getting out there and just taking people for the first time, and then every time
I mean, I remember seeing you the first time.
I remember seeing you too, man. I was like, I remember I started fishing, and I went to Lee. I saw Lee a couple times, and I saw Lee was a damn good angler. Because Lee would work the grass lines, and he was patient, and he had
That's
it going
all
on.
I fished
So I
then.
go to Lee. I'm like, hey Lee, you know, I'm Steven. I introduced myself, and he's like, what's up? We started talking. I was like, hey, how about, would you like to fish sometimes? He goes, man, I fish with Kai Kevin. He goes, oh, man, you know who that is? I said, I heard about that guy. He goes, that's who I fish with. I'm like, oh, geez, well, I guess that's out of the question, man. So it was like, well, that's cool. But then Lee and I saw each other, so we worked it out. But it's like, hey, if anyone has, like, if you want to get into the sport of kayaking and you just want to have a real good time, you know, give us a call at Ocean Eagle Kayak Adventures. You know, we're at oceaneaglekayak.com. We're also on Facebook. You can go to Facebook / Ocean Eagle Kayak. You know, if you send me an email, you send me a question. The best time to go, we launch at 7:30 in the mornings. And 7:30 in the morning, we beat the big winds, we beat the boat traffic. We're out along the Atlantic coastline, and that's when you really see, you know, the big loggerhead turtles and the dolphins and so forth. And then we also run at 10:30 on the weekends, and you know, 2 days a week. You know, the 10:30 tour is good if that's the only time you have available. At 10:30, you know, you got all the guys from Richmond and Moyac out along the coastline, and you got the jet skiers.
Right.
It's hot. And it's hot.
It's hot.
getting hot.
That's right.
I mean, if you can get up and go early in the morning,
So
go.
the best time to
because
go is 7:30. We run once the season kicks in. We're going to start this year on the May 5th. We're going to run all the way to the end of September. So if you got a chance, you got family, friends, relatives.
Yeah, that's the best
you know,
thing is the local
just come
guys.
on. We take up to 18
Yeah.
people, and the nice thing about our group is once we're together, we're like family.
Yeah.
You know, we're not like,
Yeah,
oh,
it-
you're
it
like
is
from Canada.
really
It's
cool.
like when we're on the water, we're Team Ocean Eagle Kayak. We have a 100% return ratio. If you have, you know, some limitations, if one of the guys has to tow you back in, we'll tow you back in. We want you to have the experience. And the nice thing that we do too is we watch the only time that we'll cancel winds over 25 miles per hour or active lightning.
Right.
And that's the thing.
You can always
that's
have a
in-
good day in the
inside,
inlet.
yeah.
In the inlet, we
In the
do.
inlet,
In the
yeah.
inlet. So
You can
for us,
always have a good
25
time in
is
there.
getting where you're getting blown around.
that's right.
Yeah.
Anything over 25 is just it's not fun anymore.
And you don't.
because it's like
and the thing is to have fun. You don't want to take people out and
That's right.
for misery.
Scare
That's
them.
just
So-
taking their money, and
That's right.
it's gonna scare them.
That's right.
You know, you have a better chance of telling them to come back tomorrow.
That's right.
And go in tomorrow,
That's
and
right.
then the next year when they come down on
That's
vacation,
right.
they're going to want to go
Well,
again.
we run-
But if you take them when it's
That's right.
terrible,
Yeah.
That's
you
right.
can forget about it.
Oh yeah, they
It's
will. A
over.
lot
They
of
ain't
hosts
home.
will show, but they do. We do with Ocean. We are an adventure company. We do. We're not going to cancel just because of overcast sky. It has to be
Right.
active
Oh, yeah.
conditions.
Yeah.
You're
When-
going to
and
see
the- and the
everything
thing-
in the sea and in
That's
the
right.
sky if there's cloudy.
That's right. And
Yeah.
the key is a lot of folks, they look at their phones and they're like, oh, it's overcast. Or I've had individuals where it's called a Virginia Beach window. So you see the clear sky, you see the black sky on the phone. So I've had individuals seriously where it's like, well, Steven, I'm looking at my cell phone right now. I'm like, well, sir, I'm here at the launch and I'm seeing blue skies and we're gonna have a wonderful day. I know you made the reservation, sir. You got, I'm on my way. I'm like, sir, we're gonna be launching in 20 minutes. We'll wait for you.
Yeah.
If they're close. But if not, then we just reschedule.
Yeah.
Our goal is for people to have fun, to introduce kayaking to folks, and teach them the right way the first time.
They go through paddling.
That's right. We go through
paddling.
That's right, Lee. Thank you.
They have goals. And
That's right.
There's goals.
There's challenges.
Challenges. Yeah.
So we just don't put you in the
go
boat.
to a place.
That's right.
And then everybody
It's dead
organizes, and then
That's
there's
right.
another organization.
That's right.
And then there's another meeting.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, what we're doing is we're just trying to make sure everyone has good boat control. If they need a little bit of coaching, because our ultimate goal is to take folks along the Atlantic coastline.
Right.
So if you don't have good boat control, I'm not going to take you along the coastline on the ocean because it's just it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So
And that's the thing where you were talking about earlier with fishing. You have they're spinning around with the boat and you're
That's
trying
right.
to cast and you
That's
really
right.
want them.
I won't even if I'm on if someone is using my services, my thing is to get them to hook up on a fish and give them a skill that they can take to the next level. I heard Mark Lozier talking, and he hit it right on. You have to customize every individual because I have guys
That
show
is the
up.
hardest
I have
thing
guys
in
show up
the
with
world.
their own gear. G. Loomis ride.
First time I
this
ever
one guy
went on a
showed up,
headboat.
man, he had probably $1,100 setup. And I'm looking at him going, I'm salivating. I'm going, oh, hey, sir, do you think I can use that? Oh.
See, I was the opposite. Me and my grandfather, a long time ago, went to go on the headboat to go croaker fishing, brought our own setups, and were undergunned like you would never imagine. We got out there in that bay, and you needed 8 ounces to get to the bottom and croaker fish, or you were tangled with everybody on the boat.
That's right.
So after about 2 hours, the guy was like, "Do you finally want to switch?"
Yeah.
That's right.
And of course, you just loaded the cooler after that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if anyone's in town, they're looking for a good excitement this summertime, definitely give us a call.
Especially
if you're watching the podcast.
local guys with your
That's
own
right.
kayaks. If you have family that comes in town, they
That's
ask
right.
you about kayaking.
That's
they
right.
want to go kayaking. Hook up. He's going to take them out. Little kids don't need to go. As much
7
as
years
fishing
old.
or anything.
7 years old.
Yeah.
7 years old is
Take
the
'em.
youngest we'll take out.
And then they'll be able to get your whole family on the water
right.
at one time.
At one time.
Everybody's going to have a good time.
And the nice thing too is what we do is we take pictures. So we know how important it is to take pictures. So I do my very, very best to capture the moment. Where
Amazing.
everyone has at least one or two.
And he has
really
lots
good
of
shots.
followers on Facebook for his
Yep.
company too, and
Yep.
his pictures go on his Facebook page.
Yep.
Yep.
You'll be famous.
That's right.
Famous on
That's
the
right.
internet.
That's right. That's right.
Well, good. It's Ocean Eagle Kayak.
OceanEagleKayak.com.
You're on Facebook, and you've actually been on my links page for a really long time. So
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
And I
this
appreciate that
logo,
too.
yeah.
Yep,
The
absolutely.
sticker logo
Yeah, the sticker
that
logo.
you have
You'll
now
scroll
is
down
on
and you'll
his
see that.
Yep,
Yeah.
I
on
remember
his
that.
links
Yep.
page.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's
It's
been up there
been
for a long
up there
time.
for a
And
long
that-
time,
our
still is.
links page gets a lot of hits. And
Yeah.
Because just because we use
That
it.
is
And I-
literally probably gets 5 hits for me a day because it's the only place I go for weather.
Me too. I check it all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, people ask me. People literally, we've said this on other podcasts too. And people ask all the time what I look for weather. The links page for him because
Yeah.
it has all the links
right.
I need for
All
around here.
what we use.
Everything. I look at what I want to look. I click back. I look at what I want to look. I click back. I look at what I want to look, and I click back. And by then, I'm coordinating.
gotta-
I'm getting my things
I gotta
ready. And by
re-up.
then, I'm picking. I already got the phone in my hand, so I'm checking. I'm
Yeah.
texting him.
Can we get a real estate link on there?
Yeah. I'll put that on the bottom there. I got a link for a little
Thanks,
more
Kev.
general. I definitely got you up there.
Yeah, there's
I've
another
separated with guides and
link at
stuff,
the bottom.
I'll put another link down at the bottom.
Cool.
Yeah. Just send me that tonight when you get home.
Yeah.
But yeah, OceanEagleKayak.com, Steven Zavisa.
The Visa? Like Visa card? Yes, sir.
Visa.
That's
Yeah.
it.
It's a lot easier than Ziowa.
Yeah, that's nice.
I wasn't pronouncing the S. I was using the W. OceanEagleKayak.com and see him on Facebook, and I'll also have the link on when I put the YouTube page up there.
Cool, thanks,
And
Scott.
yeah, good to go.
Nice. See you guys on the water.
See you guys.
Yep.
Oh,
Thank you.
Oh wait, I get to say bye to him.
All right. Here's Courtney.
And, hold on, come here.
Okay.
You do the smile thing.
Yeah.
Bye.